Ikaw ang pamulo para sa pagbabago. Sawa na ang bayan ko sa magnanakaw na tao. Madilim na kahapon, ikaw ang mag-aahon. Sa piling mo, di ko mawawala ang korupsyon. Tayo na Pilipinas, tayo na magbago. Hawak kamay tayo para sa pag-asenso. Ikaw at ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo Duterte, para sa tunay na pagbabago. Masdan mo ang paligid, alamak mga krimen, rape, droga at mga nakawan, dapat nang mapigilan.
Yes, good morning. Magandang umaga po sa lahat ng ating mga kababayan. Dito po tayo para sa special coverage ng SONA ng ating mahal na Pangulo na si President Rodrigo Duterte. Kumusta po kayo dyan? Don't forget to share, like, subscribe. Emerald, Pauline, hello sa mga nandyan sa Facebook at sa YouTube. Habang po tayo nag-aantay kasi ang ating ang kanyang talumpati or ang kanyang SONA mag-uumpisa sa alas 4 ng hapon dyan sa Pilipinas, alas 3 pa lang. So 2 minutes before 3 o'clock pala.
I am here because
Yan, bati-bati tayo.
country and I love.
Good morning. Maaga talaga ako gumising mga kapatid. Proud Pinoy, Witchcraft, Ejelo, Witchcraft, Swing, Yang. Charge mo na ako 4 p.m. Di po ba? Yeah, morning, yeah. Pag-uusapan natin ano bang mga inaasahan ninyo. At after that, ng SONA ng Pangulo, mga kaibigan, ay kasama natin si Doc Kelly. At si Doc Kelly po ay imbitado via Zoom, mga kapatid. At Ana P. Box, Bunyon, Emmanuel Flores, ayan, si Cel Francisco, Madam Butterfly, Botius Loki, La Aki, Abel Blessed Monday. Don't forget to thumbs up, thumbs up agad. Yan, para ano tayo. And then don't forget to share. Kung pwede ninyong i-share ang inyong Mabuhay Pilipinas. So actually mayroon na pong pinadala sa amin dito na ano ba tawag nito? Report, Duterte Administration 2020 mid-year report, mga kaibigan. Actually, dami nito. 46 pages. As in 46 po, mga kapatid, 46, ika nga.
Sa piling mo, di ko mawawala ang korupsyon.
Hi to Minerva, good morning. Minerva Palma, Jukson, hello.
Ako,
Medyo maaga para kwentuhan at balitaktakan mo na ano ba ang
sa
mga nangyayari ngayon sa Pilipinas. Kasi kanina mga around, anong oras ba yun? Nakita ko yung rally
Tayong lahat
ng ating mga kapatid dito sa Montreal. May nagrally po dito.
Duterte
At ang sigaw na naman nila, out Duterte daw, out Duterte. Bakit ba talaga gusto nilang tanggalin si Duterte? Ano ba meron? Aha. So, kung gusto niyong umakyat dito para magbigay ng inyong kuro-kuro, bakit ba kailangan talagang patalsikin si Duterte? Yun ang sabi, patalsikin si Duterte. Oo.
droga at
Ayan.
mga
Magandang hapon, Inaro.
dapat nga
DG dito sa Pilipinas. Magandang hapon dyan. Di ba? Bakit ang laging linyahan eh? DG Torpe, good morning. Europe. Bakit ang linyahan ay patalsikin si Duterte? Natatawa na lang ako sa mga ano nila, patutsada. Lahat na patutsada nila dito, luma eh. Walang bago. Just, oh my God, I hate drugs. I really hate drugs, mga kapatid, sa totoo lang. Biruin mo, ang kanilang argumento is nung isang nakaraan pa na mga siglo. Pero anyway, karapatan nila yon. Pero ang akin lang sa mga kababayan kong to na nandito sa Montreal, nung panahon na may nangangailangan na Pilipina sa kanila,
lahat kay
wala sila. Oo, wala man lang ako nakitang nag-rally. Wala man lang ako nakitang nag-alsa para dito. We miss you, DG. Oh, hi, Sir Inaro. Oh, hi, Inaro. Nandiyan pala si Inaro. O nga, binasa ko. Ano ba nangyari sa akin? Jana Olaco. Actually, mga kapatid, hindi pa to regular nating live streaming. Special coverage lang po ito. Special coverage lang po natin dito para sa pag-usapan natin yung magiging SONA ng ating mahal na Pangulo. Ano bang kung gusto niyong magpahayag, ano bang inaasahan ninyong ilalabas ni ngayon ni Pangulo? But according to the source, iikot ito lahat sa sa COVID-19. Ilalatag na po ng gobyerno kung paano ito matugunan ng maayos. At kung gusto din pag-usapan din natin kung kumusta ang 4 na taon ng Vice President. Kung gusto niyo din. Kung gusto niyo lang Ay, nako. Anyway. Tulungan na natin ang Tatay Digong para umunlad ang Pilipinas. Yun na nga dapat Katotohanan Warriors. Selco lang yung Selco lang. Ito yung natin. Ito yung official hashtag ngayon official hashtag today. Ito po yun. Tatlo. Sige. Isama niyo sa inyong mga yan official hashtag today. Ayan. Dito si DG Torpe. Baka ba sasabihin kaya nito? Oo. Mayroon siyang imumungkahi ba? Hello, good morning. Magandang good morning pala dyan sa Magandang morning. Parang bagong...
Good morning, DJ Yui.
Parang bagong gising Pagagigising lang ba?
Good morning, Europe. Good morning po sa lahat. Europe, good afternoon sa Philippines. It's already 3:04 ng hapon. Tama ba sa Pilipinas?
Oo, dito sa amin 3:04 ng umaga.
3:04 ng madaling araw?
Oo, madaling araw.
Hindi ka pa natutulog?
Natulog na ako kanina, of course. Pinaghahandaan ko lang to. Ikaw ba, inaasahan mo, DG Torpe sa magiging SONA ng Pangulo ngayon?
Ako'y naguguluhan talaga, no? Bakit napakaraming mga Pilipino na hanggang ngayon ay hindi pa rin matanggap na ang presidente natin ay si President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, no? 4 na taon na ang lumipas, andyan pa rin yung mga nagwewelga, andyan pa rin yung mga nakikita kong nagrarally way back 1986 hanggang ngayon, nandyan pa rin sila. pumuti na ang buhok nila, nandyan pa rin sila. Yung mga taga-UP, baka may mga taga-UP dito. Diyos ko Lord, talaga naman. Sayang yung
Mga pinag-aaral sa kanila. Inday Pubrico. Alam mo sa totoo lang ako, Digitorpia. Lumaki din ako talaga sa sa panahon ng sabihin na natin yung panahon na nandiyan si Curry, si Ramos, si Gloria, si Estrada, si Gloria. Alam mo sa totoo lang, wala akong nakita talaga yung mga promises ng na pagbabago. Wala, kahit isa wala lumaki na lang edad ko, umabot na lang ng Canada. Naging presidente na lang si Digong. Ganun pa rin yung mga yan. Rally. Walang katapusan.
Walang katapusan talaga.
May nahimatay kanina sa rally nila, sa totoo lang. Sabi nga, baka hindi daw pinakain na naman ni Renato. Kasi ang 60 dyan, rally muna bago bayad o kain.
Naranasan ko rin yan, 500.
500 ba?
Noong panahon namin
Anong year yun?
kumakanta pa kami noon, Gloria, Gloria, la bandera, si Gloria. Ganun kinakanta namin noon.
Talaga lang
500 bayad sa amin.
500. Ano yun?
Ewan ko lang ngayon kung magkano na.
Ang sabi nga, ang bigayan daw ngayon sa 1.5 na. Trinidad Jimenez, good morning. Sharon, hello. I can wait to hear what PRRD to say. Akyat ka dito, Sharon. You have to akyat. Samahan mo
Shout out sa lahat po na nandito. Isang magandang buhay po sa inyo lahat, mga kaibigan. Yes, may bayad po yun, no? Especially yung mga member po ng Kadamay. May bayad po yan.
Di sa totoo lang, dito, sa pagkakalam ko, may mga ganon din dito yan. Mga bayan muna, mga anak bayan. Kaya sila kumikilos talaga. Kasi nga, meron sila budget. Kasi pag hindi sila kumilos, yung budget nila, hindi nila magagamit yon. So, kailangan, halimbawa, yung mga ganyan, pag may SONA nga, lalo na, sisigaw-sigaw sila, out Duterte, out Duterte. Sabi ko, bakit? Anong meron? Sana gusto ko pumunta kanina doon sa rally nila diyan sa may estatwa ni Rizal. Dito sa amin kasi may estatwa si Rizal na nilagayan dito sa panahon ni President Ramos sa tulong na rin ng Montreal government, Montreal City of Montreal government. Kaya naitatag yan diyan. At dahil na rin sa tulong ng butihing city councilor na nandito sa area na to, sa Snowdon, na ideklara na talaga na yan na plus si Rizal yung area, kumbaga. So, park ni Rizal na medyo maliit lang, andoon ang kanyang rebulto. Kung saan ang mga tao ay dumadaan at umuupo. Sorry. Ay, ayun. So, kaya medyo nagtaka nga ako dahil mayroong social distancing. So I hope they are not breaking the protocol. Kasi nga mahirap na, kasakit na. Good morning world. Shout out DGUE.
Amnesty, hello po Amnesty.
Lalo na daw sa Pangulong sa Pilipinas, si PRRD. Long live Tatay Digong.
Because I love.
Actually, kasama ko si mamaya pagkatapos ng ni President Duterte, ang kanyang SONA, nandun kasi invited kasi si Doc Kelly Killogs. Invited siya. So kaya ayun. Sana invite na, wala siya sa Pilipinas pero via Zoom. So ganoon naman ang kalakaran ngayon via Zoom na lang. So invited po siya mamaya. At nandun na siya sa Zoom, kaya hindi ka na pwedeng, sabi kasi pagka pumasok na, hindi na pwedeng lumabas sa Zoom. Kaya yun. Kaya
Dito sa amin, walang nagwe-welga dito, walang nagrarally dito na out Duterte sa Italy.
Dati may nakita ako dyan Dati.
Baka yung mga talagang siguro kontra-kontra. Pero dito sa part namin, wala. Tsaka nagtataka ako konting panahon na lang 4 na taon na lang. Talaga ang mga Pilipino, ang mga Pilipino talaga, hindi naman siguro niya lahat. Sa 10 Pilipino, 9 talaga ang pasaway. Yung simpleng jaywalking na lang, hindi pa masunod-sunod eh. Di ba? Tapos galit na galit kayo sa China. Meron ba mga galit sa China dito? Palayasin na daw yung mga Chinese sa Pilipinas. Tapos bili naman kayo ng produkto ng Chinese. Cellphone nyo, China, made in China. Mga gamit nyo sa bahay, made in China. Yung karamihan mga damit natin, made in China. Sa Raon, ang dami namimili ng mga made in China. Kung galit tayo sa China, i-boycott natin yung mga gamit nila. Huwag tayong bumili. Ganun lang naman kasimple yun.
Correct.
Diba? Reklamo tayo na reklamo. Out sa China, policy na yan sa Pilipinas yung mga Chinese. Tapos bili tayo ng cellphone na made in China itong cellphone ko. Huawei, made in China. Oppa, made in China. Diba?
Ay, nako. Kape daw. Baka naman pwede kayo magpapakape dyan. I agree to DG Torpe. O nga pala, paalala, ang programang ito ay baka naman, ang program. Mamaya pa yung regular program ko.
Sarado yung aking laptop eh. Meron tayong mga sound effect dito. Sarado eh.
Asal ba yun? Ito.
Ang programang ito ay autocorrect, kaya kung mahina ang isip mo, ihanda ang panyo, baka ikaw ay mapayak.
Agay ako. Oh my goodness. So, di ba? Sabi nga sa inyo, ay kami po ay talagang kahit nasa ibang bansa po kami, lalaban kami kung kailangan naming umuwi para lumaban dyan. Kung sakasakali, uwi ako. Pero wala pa naman eh. Kaya sabi nga, sa tagal ng maraming nanunungkulan. Hi, Todchikit! Pa-shoutout daw sa lahat. Sa tagal ng kung sino-sino yung nanungkulan ng Pilipinas. Ngayon lang nangyari sa presidente na to na yung mga oligarchy ay napaluhod niya. Hindi lang napaluhod, napabayad pa yan ng mga utang. Yung na lang, may tilong sus. Imagine mo yun.
Tapos nilibre na yung mga sa PhilHealth, di ba? Marami ng membro ng PhilHealth.
Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi na.
Free Wi-Fi.
Free Wi-Fi na. Ayan. Si
binigay mo na yung kanan, gusto pati yung kaliwa. Di ba?
Correct. Inaro, baka gusto mong akyat ka dito, kasama ka sa panel namin.
Hello, good morning po, Ma'am Sharon Nobila.
Good morning, DJ Torpe. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you po.
Hi Sharon, good morning.
Hi, kamusta DJ Yawi?
Ganda pala ni Ma'am Sharon, no?
Ayos lang, wala pa tulog.
Kararating ko rin lang galing bahay. Dinala ko yung aking asawa sa hospital. Pina-check up ko. Meron kasi siyang cyst. Napapa-operahan ko yung cyst niya sa puwet. Lumalaki na after 25 years kasi. After 25 years, lumaki yung cyst. Kaya sabi ko, patanggal na natin. Total, libre naman ang opera.
Yan.
Yes, that's true. That's true. That's good.
Alam ko, nagtataka kayo kung bakit kami maaga. Queen Elizabeth, magandang hapon dyan sa Pilipinas. Special coverage lang to mga kaibigan. Yung regular programming natin, mamaya pa yon. So, mayroon tayong bisita mamaya. Importanteng tao. Eric Matusay. Yan, nagtaka sila. Ang aga mo, DG.
Nagulat ako. Ang aga ni DJ Yui. Sabi ko ganun. Sakto naman kararating ko lang ng bahay. Kaya sabi ko, pasok na ako dito.
Hindi ako maaga. Actually, ginagawa ko talaga to dati pa. Mayroon ilang SONA na rin ng presidente. Talagang andyan ako lagi. Hindi ako nawawala. Kaya kahit nakakapuyat, pero kailangan ko abangan. Dati pa nga, mayroon pa nga akong inuutusan sa Pilipinas na lalo na yung mga rally-rally. Ngayon, wala masyado kasi nga social distancing nga eh.
Yun nga eh. Oo, ang
Ikaw,
hirap.
Sarah, what do you expect from the president right now?
Yeah, I'm expecting that he's going to cover the amelioration program, especially now that he's completed the first tranche, and I think he's he hasn't completed the second tranche. And I believe from the reports now, there's also some people that have had a few issues in getting into the most difficult parts of the Philippines as well. So they're having trouble reaching out to those that are the underprivileged and the ones that most in needs, because there's some people that have to travel for at least 2 hours before they can get to where the the facilities are. So I hope that he's going to address that, as especially yung mga issues na kung bakit hindi nakakuha yung mga ibang tao na complete na ayuda sa mga diba? So I'm hoping na he's also going to explain the updates on the development in regards to the amelioration program, and I believe that they're going to also cover most of the SONA with the COVID-19. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably yan yun, isa sa mga tututukan sa SONA niya, kumbaga.
Yeah.
Mamaya.
Yeah.
Okay. Oy, maraming
yeah.
salamat ha. Thank you pala kay Celia at kay Amisty.
Maraming
salamat sa pakulay dyan ha. Thank you so much sa pakulay. Maraming salamat sa inyo.
Pangkape.
Dito walang sapilitan ng pakulay dito ha. Kung gusto nyo magpakulay, nasa sa inyo po yan. Okay? Wala pong sapilitan dito. Paalala po lang sa lahat. No? Kusang loob po ang inyong mga pakulay. Okay? Hindi po kami nagsasabi na magpakulay kayo dyan. Yan po ay kusang loob ninyo. No? Kasi minsan may nababasa akong mga issue about sa ganyan eh. So dito po, actually ako sa LS namin, ganyan din, may mga nagpapakulay pero mga paangat naman, no? Yung mga nanghihingi ng, alam mo na, gustong lumaki yung bahay, no? Nagpapakulay, nagmamadali. So,
Oy, lakas ng ulan daw ngayon.
Ang buhok ko lang ang nagpakulay.
Oy, ako hindi, alam mo, sa totoo lang, nung pakita ko sa inyo ang kanina, ang session ng Senado Kung nakita niyo yung session ng Senado kanina, mga kapatid, nakita ko buhok ni ni Senate President Tito Soto.
Yes. Bagay sa kanya.
Bagay sa kanya.
Oo, nagustuhan ko. Yeah.
So, baka nakalimutan niyo mga kapatid ang gray hair po is crowning glory po yan. Crowning glory. Di ba?
Correct.
Actually, live pa rin sila until now eh. Wala, di ba? Hindi na pala. Teka.
Yeah.
Basta kanina kasi, yung kanilang mga buhok kay si Tito Soto, yung ko na nakita ko talaga na, sabi ko nga, uy, ano ba itong buhok ni Tito Sen? Parang parang ano ba nangyari? Pakita natin mga kapatid yung buhok ni Tito Sen kanina. Sila, nung nagsisyon sila, pakita natin saglit siya. Natuwa ako kanina sa ni Tito Sen eh. So ito. Si Senate President Tito Soto, mga kaibigan. Ito yung kanilang anak kanina. Ayan yung buhok niya. Yan nako mga kaibigan.
Diba?
Sino pa? Puro puti Ako.
Write down yung mga
tinalo ako Ay to daw si Awakay, Hato Angie Pamilakan. Ayan. Yan di ba? Kita mo? So, ganyan na ngayon mga kaibigan. Uso na po yung mga gray hair. Kaya
namumuti na rin ang buhok ko eh.
Di ba? Ayos.
Gwapo pa rin. That's okay. It makes a man. Gray hair makes a man. Diba?
Kasi mayroon ako
okay lang naman. Medyo may edad na rin naman tayo. 48 na ako eh. Kaya natural na namumuti na yung buhok.
Kaya puti na buhok.
Kahit maputi na ang buhok ko.
Diba? Ayos, diba? Ay,
I'm also expecting
sorry. Mapalad tayo. Kasama natin mamaya si Doc Kelly, which is invited po siya na although kahit via Zoom lang, invited po siya sa SONA ni President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. So pagka tinawag daw ang mga OFW, sabi ni Doc Kelly, papakita sila. So, at kasama natin siya after ng SONA po dito para magbigay ng mga insights. So ngayon, tayo lang muna magkukwentuhan kung ano ba in-expect natin sa may nagbalita dito sa atin na shout out daw kay Jim Xiao. May ulan daw, ang lakas ng ulan. Nako. Buti na lang. Umulan.
Dito din sa Australia, umulan for 24 hours. It's very cloudy all day today and it rained all day.
Talaga?
Mm-mm.
Malakas din.
Oo.
Oh.
Anong oras na po sa Aussie, Ma'am Sharon?
5:20 p.m. ng afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you think they're going to cover the distance learning because of the
Yeah.
COVID?
Yeah, isa din yan yata sa alam ko yung distance learning, yun yung pinag-uusapan
yes.
nila. Yeah, special coverage lang ito John Wick kaya maaga pero hindi po kami ang regular namin yung 10 o'clock talaga. So
I wonder how they're going to address the situation, like especially yung mga family na yung iba walang mga kuryente. There's also isolated in certain parts of the country. I wonder how they're going to address that issue.
Actually matagal na yan Sharon. Kahit nung nasa Pilipinas pa ako yung issue na yan, ang tagal na. So ang problema talaga is nasa baba eh. Hindi masyadong nagtatrabaho itong mga nandyan sa LGU rin eh. LGU talaga dapat gumawa niyan eh. Kumbaga, Brad Ninyo, hello. Ang dapat talaga magtrabaho niyan. So ang problema di ko maintindihan. Trabaho nila yan. Gusto pa nila yata presidente magtrabaho para doon. Hindi na pwede yan.
Yes, that's right.
Dapat
May mga fundings naman sila. Sila. So where's the money going to? I mean, why did it take until Duterte to come into power before they started to implement certain things, diba?
Yan ang problema nga bakit nga? Ganito na lang kasi yan siya. Ang sana intindihin natin na parang na rin kaugalian na rin ng mga politiko kasi alam mo naman pag may mga improvement na sa bayan nila maaring mag-improve din yung buhay ng tao. Pag nag-improve na ang buhay ng mga tao ay maaring hindi na aasa sa kanila. So pagdating ng eleksyon ay wala na. Talo na sila. So as much as possible, ang gagawin nila siguro is hayaan nila walang mangyari sa lugar nila at hayaan nila na ganun lang talaga para ang mga tao asa ng asa sa kanila, lapit ng lapit sa kanila. Usually ganun nangyayari doon sa kanayunan talaga. Dapat unahin nila yung mga farm to market road, tapos pagka may kalsada na, sunod yan, kuryente. So yung mga tao na nandun sa kanayunan, lalo na sa mga rural areas, bababa nila yung mga produkto nila. Paano maibababa? Nabubulok na lang. So tinatamad yung iba, kaya ang iba pumupunta na lang sa bayan para magtrabaho. Hindi na nagtatanim. So yun, basta ang laking ang laking usapin kung tutuusin. Pero ewan ko, until now, mayroon pa rin mga pailan-ilan na mga nahuhuli talaga. Kasi ako, experience ko talaga dati yan nang habang pumupunta ako sa mga national high school na nandun sa rural areas na napakahirap puntahan kung tutuusin. Sasakay ka ng ikaw nasubukan mo na sumakay ng motor single na nasa likod ka or marami kang kasama. Oo. May iba pa yung yung parang Skylab.
Habal-habal.
Buti yung habal-habal kasi lang ang sakay pakita tayo picture hanap tayo picture. Ganito yung buhay ng kumbaga buhay ng mga kababayan natin sa kanayunan na ay nako.
Wow, blooming si Ma'am Sharon.
Blooming.
Sabi ni Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. Just a quick hello to people down to people down below. Si Amethyst, Angie Pamitakan, Dolce Wakai, and Lady Warrior. And I think Sel has also a shout out to Sel for giving the funding.
Yeah.
What do you call them? What do you call that? Super chat. That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sweet,
And
Jeff daw,
Eric Ford.
si Jeff daw, nandiyan Jeff. Hi Jeff. Yan yung sample lang habal-habal.
Grabe naman tong habal-habal na to.
Wow.
Skylab yan, Skylab. Skylab, yung tawag
but I've seen that sa YouTube sometimes na sa mga places ng ano like Malaysia, 'di ba? Thailand, they
So,
do that.
Ganito lang ang sinasakyan ko pag pumunta ako sa mga area na na
Wow.
mga the Creed, hello. Ito lang yung ito yung sinakyan ko ganito lang, pero dahil nga yung company ko naman na pinagtatrabahoan ko tinasagot naman yung ko pamasahe. Kaya nirerentahan ko. Sabi ko, tara, alis na tayo. Magkano? 250, alis na. Kasi ayoko may kasabay, natatakot ako. Kaya never ako sumakay na may mga kasama ganyan. Kasi takot ako alam mo naman, baka matumba.
Wow.
Di ba? Imagine mo yan. For the
Pero
past,
itong Skylab, DJ Yui, medyo tipid to, no? Hindi na kailangan ng sidecar, no? Nakakatipid sa sidecar,
di
di
ako
ba?
sumasakay dyan talaga, sa totoo lang.
Ano to, kailangan balance eh.
Oo, balance talaga yan. Ginawa ko yan for about 5 years, 6 years yata. Pag pumunta ako sa mga rural areas, kasi nga, trabaho then service talaga. Public
Isn't that
service.
illegal sa Philippines to have that many many commuters in the back? Diba?
Actually, it's illegal talaga, pero yun lang po yung
The best way, no?
public transport ng mga tao para makauwi sila sa
Magkano
mga
pamasahe dyan, DJ Yui, sa ganyan?
Usually, pag isang motor, ang niyan lahat is depende kung saan ka pupunta, ang minimum na is 250. So, ilan kayo sasakay, hati-hatiin niyo yun. 50 pesos, kumbaga. So, ako, pagka sabi ko, okay, ako na mag-isa, alis na tayo. So, babayad ako minsan, pinakamahal na nasakyan kong ganyan na mag-isa ako, around 500 pesos. 2000, ano pa yun? 2011, 2010. Ganon. So, kasi ayaw ko nga, mag-aantay ka pa ng pasahero, nagmamadali ako. Kailangan ko makababa agad din, makabalik sa city. Kaya nga. So, kailangan ko magmadali talaga. Pero, pagka tinatamad naman ako at kulang ang budget, kaya, ayun, napipilitan ako pero hindi talaga. Isang bisis lang yata. Isang beses lang ako nakasakay na may kasama. Pero kalimitan ako lang mag-isa.
Ako hindi pa ako nakasakay sa ganyan. Hindi pa ako nakasakay sa ganyan.
Ako, sanay ako for 6 years. Nagawa ko yan. Kung may jeep kasi, pag jeep ang sinakyan mo, aabutin ka ng aabutin ka ng, bukas. Meron nga doon lugar talaga na may mga nagbabiyahe ng mga bus. Oras lang, hindi isa lang aalis sa madaling araw. Tapos pagdating naman doon, pabalik sa city, pero biruin mo magta-travel ka 6 hours. Yung kung saan nahuli si Apolinario, yung leader ng Kapa, nadadaanan ko yun minsan eh. Kaya yun, ako daming mga kapatid tayo diyan na nakikibaka sa taas. Andyan. Oy, Tiagong Sumpak, correct ka bro, walang malalim na bala. Yun, konting basa, konting kwenta, may opinion siya. Napababayaan lang humirit ng humirit. Sino ba yung pinag-uusapan ni Inaro? Sino yan? Sino yan, Inaro? Akit ka ga dito?
Shoutout sa lahat ng mga solid BBM dyan. Shoutout po sa inyo lahat. Mga tropa Pete, shoutout po.
Yes.
Yan, naka-standby pa po.
Sino ba kandidato mo, DJ Yui, sa 2022?
Wala pa ako.
Wala pang kandidato. Meron
Wala
lang
pa,
nag-aano
wala
sa akin eh.
Tahimik
DJ,
pa ako.
gawa ka naman ng mga vlog na about kay ganito, hang. Sabi
Tahimik
ko,
pa
sige
ako.
no problem, ha?
Tahimik pa ako. Tsaka na. Masyado pang maaga. So, mga 22.
At saka kailan pa matatapos yung yung case ni ni BBM? Maraming mga taong naghihintay.
Kaya
hindi na matatapos yan yung kaso na yan. Pag ganyan na kasi wag na natin asahan yan. Sanay na ang mga tao sa ganyan.
2 years na lang, ibigay na lang.
2 years na lang. Sayang din naman.
Kandidato namin si FLM. Kung makakalabas pa.
Yeah, well, hindi nila sinabi, like the other side did say the July 23rd, di ba? Pero hindi nila sinabi what year.
Oh.
Tayo na lang. Kainan.
Di ba sabi lalabas sa 21st?
Oo, tanong nga ako kay Dr. Early. Sabi ko, kalaban namin lalabas na sa 24 eh. Baka 24, 30, 2030, or maybe 2040, di ba?
Wala
Oh,
naman lumabas.
2060.
Di ba? Ilang araw ako hindi nag-LS. Mga 2 days ako hindi nag-LS. Saturday at Sunday talaga. Sabi ko, bakit walang nakalabas? 27 na.
Oo,
Andun pa
talaga.
rin. Loko
Yes.
talaga.
Talaga naman.
Oh,
Hayaan
mayroon
na lang
namang
natin
nilabas
sila.
si Makmak. Si Makmak may nilabas na naman kanina na kwento.
Wala.
Hindi ko pa nakita. Hindi ko pa I don't really
meron.
follow them anyway. I don't follow
Meron.
them anyway, so.
Ako hindi
Hello,
hindi
everyone.
ko interesado manood doon. Sayang lang, magbibigay ka lang ng ano doon, ng
Correct.
WH doon.
Kaya. JRAC 007. Hello everyone. Is this regular show? Time now? No, hindi. This is a special coverage po ng SONA ng Presidente. Wala pong ano. Kasi mamaya, pagkatapos ng SONA ng Presidente, papasok si Doc Kelly para sa kanyang insights sa sasabihin ng
Yeah.
Presidente. Kasi nandito lang kami mga kaibigan para abangan, panuorin, susya at magbigay ng kuro-kuro kung ano ba ang inaantay natin. Ano ba yung
Yes.
gusto nating pag-usapan ng Presidente? Ilalahad niya yung kanyang mga proyekto sa mga nalalabi niyang araw diyan sa
Correct.
Malacanang, ika nga mga kaibigan. Yun ang inaabangan ng mga tao ngayon. At inaabangan din ng mga, alam nila, mga kapatid din natin, ng mga Pilipino na
Shout out
oposisyon.
kay Admin Army G. Roldan. Shout out po, ma'am.
Yun.
Ang
Di mo
ibas
na-
ninyo,
ako
ang
din pa siya.
hinihiling ko na ibas na lang ninyo si David. Ibas nyo yun. Yung matandang bastos na yun.
He needs a
shout out,
filter. What did I call that DJs? Yung for the animals where they put muzzle. The muzzles. Yung
muzzle,
para
yeah,
sa
muzzle,
bibig ng
yeah.
mga
Oo.
ng mga aso type or muzzles, yeah.
Hindi face mask muscles yun.
Muzzles.
Wala na
Shout out
kahulog
to
sinasabi ng mga yun eh.
Oo nga eh. Shout out to Jeff Swift from Banyan. Did I say that right? I'm
Meron
really sorry.
akong panood na kanta. Yung yung tatlong babae
isa
na
pa yun.
kumakanta. Bigyan ng
Nakaka-budget
awa
yun.
ba title nun?
Kayong kanta para kay Miss Floor Contemplation ginamit ng mga loko-loko, talagang sinira nila yung memorya ni Floor
Gloria
Contemplation.
Contemplation ba yun?
Nakakainis. Na bad trip ako. Gusto kong hanapin at batukan para matauhan. Oo. Gagamitin pa yun. Kanta para kay Floor Contemplation yun, mga kapatid. Huy, kayo dalawa, mga babae pa naman kayo.
Babae pa naman.
Papatukan ko kayo kay Sharon. Wag ako.
Hello, Commander Bawang. Shout out, Commander Bawang.
Shout out to James Yao or James Yu. I love you too.
Sabi ni Susha. Hindi, lang to, special coverage ka to, Susha. Mamaya pa yung regular live streaming. Mamayang 10:00 pa rin ng umaga at 10:00 ng gabi dyan sa Pilipinas. Ito ngayon, lang to. Special coverage. Ginagawa ko to for the past 4 years na po. Na kada may SONA ang presidente, talagang nagla-live po ako kahit madaling araw. Ayan, serbisyo na rin sa mga tao, ika nga.
Shout out AAA. Hello po, AAA.
Shout out din ako muna dito sa nandito sa YouTube. Facebook pala. Tama, boycott. Boycott ang Bina. Sino yun? Bakit bukit? Sama Prit Donsai. Good morning, DJ Mandy, Miss Sharon, ganda.
Hello.
OTW sa mga tulad na mga hindi ko vlogger, taga-suporta sa tama, hindi kinukonsinti ang mali. God bless. Yan. Tama lang. Huwag talagang konsintihin ng mali. Kasi pag mali yan. Never magiging tama ang mali.
Shout out Cell 2730.
Ayan, si Celia Francisco, Mama Maria Linda Bilado. Hello po sa lahat. Yan.
Andaan nyo, ang isang mali ay hindi pwedeng dagdagan pa ng isang pagkakamali. Okay?
Tama, correct. Mali na nga eh. Gawin mo
Mali
pang
na nga eh. Ang problema kasi tayo mga Pilipino, minsan kung ano pa yung mali, yun pa yung gusto natin, di ba?
correct. Army Roldan, hello. Oh, yan ang problema. Ang hilig-hilig natin sa mga mali.
Oo. Alam nyo naman, maling umibig sa taong may mahal na, iibigin nyo pa. Di ba?
Correct.
Wow!
Hugot ah. Oh,
Para
yan,
may
isa pa yan.
experience ka, DJ Torpe.
Oo. Di ba? Yung mga ganyan kasi, may mga babaeng ganyan.
Meron ba?
Paalala ha, sa mga babae, kung ang asawa ninyo, yung mister nyo, napapansin nyo hindi na pogi, bilan nyo ng pampapogi, wag yung naghahanap kayo ng pogi. Ganon din sa mga kalalakihan. Kung ang asawa ninyo ay hindi nagaanong maganda, bilhan nyo ng pampaganda, wag yung naghahanap kayo ng mas maganda. Okay?
Yeah, correct. Oh, shout out kay Sharon from the Creed. Sorel. From
Hello.
Creed, Sorel.
Well, I have a question. I have
Yeah.
a question then, DJs.
go
So,
ahead.
kayo dalawa? Okay. It's actually from Dolce Awakay from Hong Kong. So
Yeah.
she wants to know how to win a man's heart. Yan ang question niya. So, from a man's perspective, what do you say?
Mas bata si Torpe sa akin, so ikaw na sumagot.
Ako
Kayo naman?
Yeah.
Ikaw
Ano
muna,
naman?
DJ, kasi mas marami kang alam sa akin eh.
Ganun. Ano naman, ang importante kasi nagkakaintindihan kayo sa isang bagay. Pagka may isang bagay kasi na isang bagay pa lang na hindi kayo nagkakaintindihan, malabo na magkaintindihan kayo sa iba. Di ba? So, katulad na lang, kung kakain kayo, tapos sabihin niya, dito tayo sa McDo. Sabi naman isa, sa Jollibee tayo. Di ba? So, doon pa lang, hindi kayo magkaintindihan, wala na. Awa yan. So, dapat, pag sinabi kakain tayo dito, kahit ayaw mo, puta ka kasi doon kayo kakain. Halimbawa, nauna yung isa. Huwag ka sumingit. Di ba? Kasi nauna eh. So, lalo na pag babayang nauna, nagsabi na dito tayo kakain. Tapos sabi mo, ayaw mo. So, kinontra mo na siya. So, kaya sa isang bagay pa lang, hindi na kayo nagkakaunawaan. Eh, how much pa sa ibang bagay? So, dapat mayroon kayong pagkakaunawaan talaga. Para, ano lang naman yan eh, hindi naman sa lalaki lang eh. Dapat sa babae din. So,
Yeah.
hindi pwedeng sa amin lang galing. Dapat sa babae din. Pero minsan, sabi nga, dapat intindihin mo yung babae. Kasi nga, isipin mo, galing sa tandang mo yan. Galing mo sa sarili mong ano yan. Dito yan, hinugot ng Diyos. Sa gilid mo at ginawang tao. Yung babae. Eh, nakalimutan ng iba. Diba? Sinusuway. Sabi nga, kung gusto mo ng masayang buhay, eh, pasayahin mo yung asawa mo. Happy wife, happy life.
Sa akin, number one, you have to be compatible pagdating sa sex. Isa yan sa mga nagpapatibay ng relasyon ng mag-asawa. Lagi niyong tatandaan. Pag kayo ay compatible sa sex, si Mrs. hindi magloloko, si Mr. hindi magloloko.
Correct.
Do you really
Okay.
think so?
Isa
Kasi
din yan.
even if a person, when I say a person, husband or wife, are either faithful and to each other in a sense na nagloloko rin ng isa kahit na nabibigay na ang lahat eh.
Naghahanap pa ng iba.
Doon yan, that's what I meant.
Depende talaga yan siya. Depende
Depende. Talaga may naghahanap ng iba, lalo na si Mr. pag-uuwi na. Alas 8 na ng gabi, nasa bahay na. Si Mrs. amoy tanghali pa, gabi na amoy tanghali pa.
Well, that's because she's busy. She's
Oh.
always busy.
Dito
Pero
pala si
gabi na
Father Henry.
amoy tanghali pa amoy paksiw pa. Kaya si Mr. pagdaan dun sa kapitbahay kay Kumari, naaamoy niya si Kumari, ang bango ni Kumari ha. Pagdating sa bahay, si Mrs. amoy paksiw pa.
So see,
Amoy
whose fault
tanghali
is
pa.
that though? Whose fault is that? Kasi kapag if it's the other way around, say sabihin natin yung wife is working from the office tapos yung lalaki na amoy what's that? Amoy afternoon, amoy ano ba yun? Paksiyo. O anong gagawin mo?
Tinuro niya sa akin yung gagawin ko.
Ben,
Di ba?
tatawagan ko na lang.
Actually talaga mga kapatid, wala sa ano yan eh. Dapat kasi intindihin ang bawat isa kung ano yung may kulang at pwede mong punuan mo. Wag yung kung may kulang na nga binabawasan mo pa. Kulang na nga, wag mo nang bawasan. Kasi habang ang kulang na yan ay binabawasan mo, talagang ang mangyayari ay gulo talaga, di ba? So, pag may kulang, punuan mo, di ba? Halimbawa, yung asawa mo, sabi mo, nangangamoy na may tanghalian pa, paksiw. Hindi, sabihin mo, darling, baka pwede tayong kumain ng paksiw. Di ba? Ano yun? Oo, para talaga smooth yung relationship ng bawat isa. Kasi nga, wala naman yan sa wala naman yan sa may amoy o what. Basta ang importante, nagkakaintindihan kayo, nagkakaunawaan kayo. Sabi nga, pag may kulang, dagdagan mo, punan mo yung pagkukulang, at wag mong hanapin sa iba yung pagkukulang. Ang problema kasi, nakadaan sa mabango, ayun, sabi niya, dito na ako kasi baka pagdating ko doon, paksiw na naman, di ba? So, yung kulang, wag mong hanapin sa iba. Sabagay,
problema ng lalaki yun kapag nang hinahanap niya yung bango ng ano ba yun? The smell of the roses instead of the smell of the paksiw. Ako I love food. So lagi akong sa paksiw.
Hindi, meron kasi mga babae, Ma'am Sharon, no? May mga babae kasi mula liig hanggang dito sa may pusod, amoy melon eh. Amoy melon. Pagdating dun sa baba, melon amoy na eh.
Yan, kaibigan, nagkwentuhan na kami dito. Baka sabihin na naman nila na
Ako, I'll answer that question sa akin lang from a woman's perspective is don't look for it because na-touch mo na rin ang topic na yan, DJ Yawi. Sa akin, don't find a guy that will complete you. You know, you need to complete yourself. So when you find the man, it's he becomes an addition to your life rather than pagkukulang. You just need na siya ang dadagdag sa buhay mo and not the other way around. At saka, I think you just have to trust in your ability to be honest within yourself. You know who you are. Kasi sometimes kapag naghahanap tayo, it's because we don't know who we are first, diba? So, and don't be afraid to be vulnerable. And that's both a man and a woman, especially kapag nag-courting kayo, the best way to get to know each other is to be vulnerable. Be honest in each other's point of view, depending on how old you are, obviously. At saka, challenge yourself by standing by your own values in your own life.
Yeah. Sabi nga ni Emmanuel Flores, better half ang tawag dyan.
Better half.
Pero DJ Yawi, tayong mga lalaki, pag galit tayo, ikaw ba, pag galit ka, misis mo galit din? Basta mayroon kami mga times siguro na mayroon kami argument, pero yun lang, hanggang argument lang naman. Kasi may mga certain topic siguro or certain pag-uusapan na medyo alam mo naman lalo na pagka medyo parehas yung personality ninyo yung bang ano ba tawag doon? Yung personality ninyo ay talagang very strong pareho. So talagang so depende din yan kasi may mag-asawa naman na paggalit ng babae, ang lalaki. Tahimik.
Ando sa gilid.
Ako pag galit ako, galit din yung asawa ko.
Ako tahimik. If one of us is angry, I decide to just walk away.
Dapat ganun talaga para hindi lumalaki yung yung argument.
Sabi ni Celia, nagtumbling na nga ako, naghanap na pa ng iba. Aray ko. Sabi ni Celia, nagtumbling na nga ako, naghanap pa ng iba. Ayan. I don't know kasi I won't speak for other men kasi nga iba-iba talaga ang lalaki. Kahit anong sabihin pa natin, kahit siguro magkapareho halos ng mga style pero magkaiba kumbaga. So but at the end of the day, sabi nga babalik at babalik sa iyo yan kasi ikaw mahal niyan. Kaya nga ikaw pinakasalan eh. Maliban na lang kung iniwan ka tapos nag-ibang bahay at di na babalik. Babalik na lang yan pag
Ako, I've been married for almost 25 years na. Kahit mukha akong torpe.
Wow, wow, congratulations.
Meron na akong
That's
isang
really
apo. 3 months old yung aking apo.
Wow, congrats.
Wow, congrats.
Ay, Bagtit. Nandiyan pala si Bagtit.
Shout out kapatid na Bagtit. Shout out.
Hi, Bounty.
Yan, paakyat ka dito, Bagtit. Baka pwede. Oo. Ito, pasalamat muna tayo dito sa mga nagpalipad ng saranggula ni Pepe.
Maraming salamat sa super chat at super sticker.
Ayan. Sabi nga eh. Ay, nako, buhay ng tao talaga. Oy, nag-aabang tayo sa SONA ng Pangulo, palapit na, mga 15 minutes na siguro. And then after that, papasok si Doc Kelly para sa kanyang mga insights. So, abangan natin. Although maraming pwede tayong makinig o manood, kung gusto niyo samahan kami dito at ilista niyo na ang inyong mga maririnig. Ay, ito, Queen Elizabeth, nandiyan ba pala? Maraming sumakabilang bahay pala. Yan, Jinky, Bordot. Di ba? Sumakabilang bahay daw. Yung iba talaga, sumakabilang bahay, hindi na bumalik sa bahay nila. Yun ang hindi maganda. Dapat, panindigan mo yung pangatawanan mo, panindigan mo yung sinabi, yung kabiyak, wag ka mag-ibang bahay. Diba? Sabi nga, hit and run lang.
Abangan nyo nga pala yung LS ko, no, sa mga followers ko po, no. It's all about love and naughty confession po yung sa akin. Abangan nyo.
Anong oras ba yan?
Wala pa akong tentative hours, DJ Yawi.
Okay.
Wala pa rin akong tentative date, no, dahil medyo busy pa tayo. Pero yun ang aking segment talaga. It's all about love and naughty confession po. Good morning, kapatid Bagtit. Ayan, si JR Balico. Good morning. Magkapit-bahay lang kami ito. Siguro mga...
Hi, JR.
10 hours lang ang layo nyo sa amin.
Magandang umaga sa ating lahat, mga kapatid. Dumaan lang ako kasi love story pala ang usapan ngayon. Mga kapatid, mag-ahay lang ako. Alam niyo naman, pag usaping love story, talagang bumababa ako dahil mahal na mahal ko pa ang buhay ko.
May nagtanong lang, JR. Ano yung point of view mo?
Saan?
May nagtanong lang si Dolce sa Hong Kong, nagtanong sa akin how to win a man's heart.
Ako kasi, mga kapatid, base sa akin, wala sa itsura pagdating sa babae. Ang ano ko lang talaga is yung may sense of humor. Yun yung talagang dapat lagi kayo nag-uusap. Although sa ngayon, ang usapan na lang namin ng asawa ko is tumigil ka, sasaksakin kita, ganun lang dapat talaga nag-uusap kahit na medyo sa relasyon naman wala namang perfecto, talagang may magbabangayan, magka-clash yung idea yun. Kasi aminin niyo kayong mga girls, very moody kayo, lalo na pag kayong mga buwanan dalaw, di ba? So, yung mga lalaki naman, obligasyon namin mag-adjust. Sa totoo lang, kami na lang lagi nag-a-adjust.
Kami na lang palagi.
Kami na lang palagi ang nag-a-adjust kahit na alam na naming punong-puno na kami, wala kaming magagawa . Yun yung pangako natin nung isa't isa nung nililigawan niyo pa kami. Kailangan namin kayong i-handle, di ba? Yun yung namin mga lalaki. Nung nililigawan niyo pa
Bigyan
kami.
muna natin to ng magandang shout-out, no?
Yeah,
DJ Yawi.
Maraming salamat sa super chat at super sticker.
Nins, Bulusan, thank you.
Nins, Bulusan, thank you. O nga pala, mga kapatid, i-announce ko lang bago ako kasi magtatrabaho din kami. Meron tayong magwapong bisita. Meron tayong gwapong bisita. Mas gwapo lang ng konti sa atin, DJ Torte at saka DJ Yawi.
Sa akin, ganyan yata kalaking gwapo nun eh.
Basta yung mga gupit natin, Bagtit, yung gupit natin, pang gupit pogi talaga yan.
Oo, wala na tayong choice, DJ Torque, kundi maging Gupit pogi, kahit at least yung gupit lang pogi.
Clean cut, di ba? Clean cut, di ba?
Sabi nito, chicken, eat and run daw, eat and run.
Eat. Tochi, tanong ko lang, Kapampangan ka? Eat.
Ako, Kapampangan ako.
Eat and run daw.
Yung mga kapatid natin Kapampangan, yung H tinatanggal.
Oo. Maya, ay kapamo, no, meron akong kwento dyan eh. Meron akong kakilala na nanghuhuli ng sa palaisdaan. Sabing gano'n eh, kapamo. Ito namang Tagalog, kinapa ng kinapa. Ang ibig sabihin kasi ng kapamo, sandali lang. Kapamo, may aat. Sabing gano'n nung Kapampangan. May aat. Hindi naintindihan ng Tagalog. Kinapa ng kinapa, ahas pala yung yung nahuli. Kapamo, may aat. Nawawala yung age namin.
Si Bobby Marlin ba yan? Bobby Martin. Binabati kita kapatid ha. Bobby Martin ha. Maraming salamat sa pag-drop by mo dito sa LS ni DJ Yawi.
Yan. Magtanggol o si Bunyon. Sure, next year punta ako dyan. Kapatid, ang problema mag-asawa hindi tinutulugan. Hindi tinutulugan, dapat paayos kayo para
Totoo yan, DJ. Base sa aking experience, pag kami nag-aaway ng aking may bahay, hindi ko talaga tinutulugan. Nilalayasan ko. Yan ang totoo. Totoo. Nilalayasan ko.
takot ka mapalo
Hindi. Nabuburyong yung tenga ko. Totoo lang, pagbalik ko tapos na.
Ibang way din yun na di ba? Yung babae pag nagsasalita talaga. Tapos kung pwede kang umalis, alis ka na lang. Pero babae din sabi, ba't ka umalis ha? Ba't ka umalis? Sino ka?
Tapos ang bili niya sa akin lagi, dapat bago kami, kasi pag maayos kami, pag umalis ka, Papa, dapat maaga kang uuwi. Pag inumaga ako nang uwi, ninangakan pa rin ako. Kunwari, umuwi ako ng alas 3 ng madaling araw, mga kapatid, ninangakan pa rin ako. Sabi ko, umaga nga, may aaga pa ba sa alas 3? Siyempre, alas 2, alauna. Yun yung maaga.
Hindi umaga na.
Pag ganyan, mga problema, base sa experience, kasi matagal na din kami.
Ito. Naka-live na pala sila. Ready na sa...
Wala pa yung speech, di ba?
Oo.
Wala pa yung speech. Kasi ugali ko kasi mga kapatid, yung inuunahan ko lagi yung SONA ng Pangulo. Ako yung taong inuunahan ko lagi kasi ako yung sinasabi ko na yung mga pros and cons na nagdaan ng isang taon. Kaya nakapag-upload kagad ako ng PRRD sa Chief SONA, mga kapatid. Ano yun ninyo? Para sa akin, kahit wala pa yung SONA ng Pangulo, ang masasabi ko lang, nasa high satisfaction rate sa akin ng Pangulo. Dahil ang dami niyang achievements within a year ulit. Mula July 2019 hanggang ngayon, July 2020, ang gaganda ng mga achievements niya. Una-una na dyan mga kapatid, achievements niya, yung pagpapakulong de Joel Apolinario. Pangalawa, yung hindi niya pag-approve ng renewal ng prangkisa ng ABS-CBN. Pangalawa yun. Dahil pangako pa niya na noong bago siyang halal na Pangulo, ay pinangako niya yan. So, napakaganda niyan. At least, isang Pangulo, natatayuan niya kung ano man yung sinasabi niya. Tulad, lagi pa rin natin sinasabi, dapat ang utos ng hari kailanman hindi nababalik.
Tama
yan. And also yung introduction niya ng yung Freedom of Information Program, yung first initiative niya as a president na to promote yung transparency so that they're always updated all the time yung mga tao, mga Pilipino. Now look at what's happened now that he's already implemented that. Yung mga tao is always up to date even during the pandemic. They're continuing to always update yung mga public pagdating sa mga situation ng pandemya, even yung amelioration programs that they were able to tell that to the whole world, including the OFWs and everything like that, so that they know what is going on, and they continue to action to address the situation as well as time goes on. So that's a big help to everybody, considering even 30 years ago there wasn't like that at all. Everything was behind closed doors.
Yes. O nga
Sa
pala,
akin
may
sa
napapansin
drugs.
ako sa iyo ngayon, Ma'am Sharon. May
Drugs,
napapansin
drugs.
lang ako.
Oh.
Napapansin ako, para kang congresswoman ngayon. May balak ka ba pumasok sa politika?
No. May ano yan, may story behind the scenes story yan kay Doc Kelly. Si Doc Kelly na lang mag-ano sa iyo.
Okay.
Yeah, just ask him the question. Ayaw ko na unahan ko pa siya.
Si
I
Doc
think
Kelly na lang mamaya.
the speech of the president will start on, I think 5:20 or 5:45.
Ito na. 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock talaga. Ito, pababa na siya.
Ayan pa lang siya.
Pababa na siya, pababa.
Nasa presidential chatter pa lang.
Chopper na.
Oh, yes.
Live na yan, DJ Yawi.
Oh, live na yan.
Live.
Live na to.
Live na.
Kasi meron ako isang kaibigan na naimbitahan diyan. So alam ko binigay niya sa akin yung schedule.
Andun si Doc Kelly, na-imbitahan si Doc Kelly. Ayan. Oy, Choy. Nandiyan pa si Choy.
Sa Zoom.
Oh, sa Zoom siya, via Zoom.
Sa via Zoom. Meron din link, kaya lang may trabaho eh.
Maraming maraming naimbitahan ngayon na mga kaibigan tayo nandyan. So ito na po yung presidente, palapag na yung kanyang
presidential chopper.
Yan.
Sobrang dami ng achievement ng ating presidente, pero bakit ang dami pa rin, may mga Pilipino pa rin hindi makontento, no?
Ano na lang yan, DJ, kasi ang tayo nasanay kasi tayo nung tinatawag ko kasing kabala.
Freedom of speech.
Yung from 1986 to the term of Pinoy, yan yung tinatawag kong kabala-subasan era. Totoo lang.
Tama.
Walang totoo diyan sa irang yan. Totoo lang. Puro pagbabalat kayo. Kaya nasanay na tayo sa ganung concept. Pero eventually, 'di ba, inopen na rin ng presidente ni Pangulong Duterte na kailangan magsalita ng mamayan para ating marinig. 'Di ba? Siya rin nagsabi, mag-ingay kayo para at least marinig ako, gawa ko ng action. So, yan sa totoo. Kaya lang inaabuso ng iba, puro kasinungalingan pinapalaganap.
Correct.
Kaya hindi na kokontento ang Pilipino. Pero yung satisfaction rating ng Pangulo na almost 90%, malaking malaking achievement na yun.
Saka walang presidente na
shout out sa iyo, Sir Choy Choy.
Walang presidente na na umabot ng ganyan na kalaki ang
Wala.
Not even worldwide, not even globally.
Yeah, not even globally.
They're even struggling to get 35-40% eh.
Yeah, correct.
The satisfaction rating.
Walang ibang leader ng ibang bansa na hindi bumilib sa kanya.
Kaya nga, believe lahat.
Totoo lang, pati nga yung France, yung presidente dito na kunwari galit ang EU sa kanya, hindi bilib kaya ang presidente namin dito sa kanya. Patunay diyan yung gagawing, anong tawag mo dun sa yung cable car, DJ?
Oo.
Sa Metro Manila. May
the Skyway?
Na cable car. It's a cable car.
Okay.
Yeah. Bumaba na po ang presidente. Papasok na po siya sa loob ng batasan. Ayan. Poging-pogi, bagong gupit siya.
Yes, handsome.
Yan, malakas siya ngayon, ha? Hindi ika-ika ang ating presidente ngayon dahil sa pagod. Okay siya ngayon.
Oo nga, okay siya.
Okay siya ngayon, no?
Okay yung kanyang
Ayan na si Bongo.
Ayan.
Ayan na si Bongo.
At andyan kasama si Senator Bongo, kasabay sa kanyang entourage. At ang kanyang sino ba tong kanyang head ng PSG niya? Andyan. At ready na rin. Ha?
50 lang yata sila ngayon sa loob ng plenaryo.
Correct. 50 lang.
50 lang.
50 lang talaga. Ayan.
Okay lang yan, mas maganda nga yung ganyan.
Oo nga.
Ayan. Mag-uumpisa to, mabilisan lang to, mga kapatid.
Yung speech ni presidente, I think it will take only 30 to 40 minutes daw eh.
Correct. Tama. Ito, open na session nila. Makinig tayo.
Panoorin natin.
Panoorin muna natin mga kapatid. Kasi official.
Arrival of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Please rise for the nation's prayer.
Makapangyarihang Allah,
Makapangyarihang Ama,
Makapangyarihang Ama,
Makapangyarihang Ama,
may gawad ng langit at lupa, bagamat kayo ang kataas-taas sa hari, kayo naman ang aming Diyos, na lubusang mga bagay, at ang inyong kapaitan ay walang mayo.
buong pagpapakumbaba kaming lumalapit at humihingi ng inyong kapatawaran sa aming mga pagkakasala sa isa't isa, sa aming pagwawalang bahala, sa kalikasan at sa iba pa ninyong mga nilikha.
Hilumin ninyo kami, ang aming mga karagatan at mga kagubatan, marapatin ng muling maging daliwan ng inyong mga biyaya.
sapagkat kayo ay patuloy na namamayani sa lahat, maging sa salot na aming kinatatakutan.
Tulungan ninyo kami na mahanap ang lunas sa laganap ng pagdurusa. Mangusap sa bawat puso namin, muling ipadama sa amin ang inyong pag-aadya.
Patatagin ninyo ang mga kumakalinga sa mga may sakit, ang mga patuloy na nangangailangan sa amin, gantipalaan at pagpalain ang mga tumutulong sa nangangailangan, nang sila ay patuloy na tumatalima sa inyong pahiwatig. Itinatalaga namin sa inyong patnubay ang aming Pangulo,
Mga namumuno sa pamahalaan at pribadong sektor,
Pagbuklo rin kami sa pagharap sa mga hamong darating.
Nang may pag-asa at katatagan ng pananampalataya.
sa dulot ninyong laya at tagumpay.
sapagkat kayo ang aming dakila at pagkamahang Panginoon, at ang inyong kaharian ay walang hanggan. Ipinagkatiwala sa inyo ang aming bayan, sa inyong pagmamahal, hinihiling ang aming kaligtasan. Siya nawa.
Please remain standing for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem.
Wala sa silanganan, hanap ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang inirang, tuwing ka nang magiting, sa mandulubling, dito ka sisigit, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit at bundok. May dilagang tula at awit sa paglayo ni Namang, ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningin. Ang bituin at araw niyang kalan, pag may di magdidilim, lupa na ang ating pagsisakoy langit sa piling mo. Ang ligaya ng pagpapangangin, ang ligaya ng sa'yo.
Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members of Congress, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Kindly. Senate President Vicente Soto III, and the honorable members of the Senate
House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano and the honorable members of the House of Representatives, Vice President Maria Leonor Robredo, former Presidents Joseph Ejercito Estrada and Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, Chief Justice Diosdado Peralta and the Justices of the Supreme Court, His Excellency Munter Mahfoud Salim Almantre, and the esteemed members of the Diplomatic Corps, Executive Secretary Salvador Mindaldia, and the members of the Cabinet, mga mahal kong kababayan. We live in a troubled time. A dream of prosperity for our country was suddenly snuffed by a pandemic virulent virus. No nation was spared. Neither rich nor poor were exempt from the onslaught of this deadly disease. But let us not despair. The vaccine is around the corner. Sooner and not later, the virus that gobbled up thousands of lives will itself be laid to rest. In the meantime, let us express the nation's gratitude to those who courageously and willingly put their lives on the line to serve the people and country. We share the griefs of their families, and no amount of tears can compensate their great losses. My countrymen, it is sad that while government focuses its attention resources to battle the coronavirus, there are those who take advantage of a preoccupied government. One of them is Senator Frank Dillon. In an interview, he arrogantly mentioned, among others, that oligarchs need not be rich. Then he linked the anti-dynasty system with oligarchy, and the topic was my daughter and son. This happened after the Committee of Franchise voted 70-11 to deny the grant of franchise to ABS-CBN. Obviously, he was defending the Lopezes, that they are not oligarchs. Great wealth enable economic elites and corporations to influence public policy to their advantage. Media is a powerful tool in the hands of oligarchs like the Lopezes, who use their media outlets in their battles with political figures. I am a casualty of the Lopezes during the 2016 election. The dealers and purveyors of illegal drugs hiding in the shadow of COVID-19 have stepped up their activities. The amount of shabu valued at millions of pesos seized during police operations speak volumes of the enormity and the weight of the problem that we bear. The corrupt, the grafters, and the influence peddlers also take advantage of their fear and confusion that coronavirus generates the financial and material assistance of government to the unemployed, the sick, and the destitute, running into billions of pesos, are not spared from corruption and ineptitude. Even the donations for well-meaning private persons are skimmed before reaching their intended beneficiaries. It is like snatching food from the mouths of the babes. The profiteers, overpricers, and the corrupt felons must be laughing while they stash their dirty monies, but not for long. They cannot outrun the long arm of the law. In this regards, the words of former President Ramon Magsaysay ring fresh and relevant today as the day they were said decades ago. He said, "We need men of integrity and faith like Rizal and Del Pilar, men of action like Bonifacio, men of inflexible patriotism like Mabini. We need their zeal, their self-reliance, and their capacity to work, their devotion to service, and their ability to lose themselves in the common cause of building a nation. If we allow greed and self-interest and ambition to rule us, then, as stated by one prominent physician, we will be left with nothing better than the lesser evil instead of the greater good. In my inaugural address 4 years ago, I said that no leader can succeed at anything of national importance without significance unless he has the cooperation and support of the people he is tasked to lead and sworn to serve. The efforts and resources which we poured out produced the momentum needed to bring our country closer to our goals. Suffice it to say, we made significant strides over time. Over 4.3 million poor families benefited from the Pantawid Pamilya. Over 92.2 million beneficiaries received subsidies under the unconditional cash transfer program. We also made available tertiary education and universal health care. Public utility drivers were given assistance to the Pantawid Pasada program. There are complaints that some drivers did not receive any assistance at all. I have directed the SWD and DILG to look into this. I welcome the passage of the law postponing the barangay and sangguniang kabataan elections. The postponement saved much needed government funds and ensured the implementation of projects under the current barangay officials. In the hindsight, it also saved us from holding the polls while we dealt and continued to deal with the pandemic. The Malasakit Centers Act has proven to be a great help to our less fortunate citizens needing medical services through one-stop platform in government hospitals. We commend the initiative and work of Senator Bongo in this regard, as well as other significant pieces of legislation as of today. There are 75 Malasakit centers serving Filipinos all over the country. These centers will be of great help in ensuring that our people remain healthy and resilient during these challenging times. The salary Standardization Law of 2019 increases the salaries of civilian government workers. I hope that this law will inspire our government workers to perform better and encourage young, brilliant citizens to join public service. I appreciate the law of establishing the National Academy of Sports. We can now give our deserving student athletes the training and the support they need to excel in their chosen field of endeavors. With the commitment of key members of Congress, the Executive Department, the FISGOC, or the Philippine Sports Commission, and the Philippine Olympic Committee, we're bound together with our vision to host the 30th Southeast Asian Games. Our athletes prevailed. More than that, we fostered pride, patriotism, genuine sportsmanship, and camaraderie in our South Asian brothers and sisters. Indeed, we won as one. To our business community and the general public, we assure you that the landmark ease of doing business and efficient government service delivery act has been gaining momentum. We are closer to eliminating over-regulation in government services. Frontline processes, including consular services, processing of building and business permits, and the services of overseas Filipinos and seafarers were streamlined. Passports and driver's license validity were lessened to ease the burden of the public. We received a BBB plus credit rating despite ASEAN credit rating downgrades and negative outlook revisions in the worldwide. The Japan Credit Rating Agency upgraded us from BBB plus to A minus last month. Meanwhile, Moody's has affirmed and maintained the country's ratings at BB2, Baa2 rather. To understand, because of the light, I have mine eyesight is not as good as new. Our fiscal position is strong, our economic fiscal management prudent, and our banking system robust. We are in a better position to weather the crisis caused by COVID-19 global pandemic. We have accomplished significant infrastructure projects under the Build program. I will not dwell lengthily on the nitty-gritty of our infrastructure accomplishments. Now, lest I bore you. Instead, we will release a comprehensive written report of our collective milestones and the details of accomplishments that remind us that perseverance, patience, determination will help us move forward even in the most difficult times. We issued last year the Executive Order number 100, establishing the Diversity and Inclusion Program as national program of the government. We want to end discrimination of persons on the basis of age, disability, ethnicities, sexual orientation, and gender identity and expression, and other character traits. My administration always believed that freedom from illegal drugs, terrorism, corruption, and criminality is itself a human right violation. Part of our efforts to uphold human rights is protection of the rights of children and the right against discrimination. Early last year, I signed Executive Order number 92, creating the National Council Against Child Labor. Government efforts to protect the rights of children will be amplified to prevent, reduce, and eliminate any form of child labor. Our achievements along this line will have been extolled by an overwhelming number of fellow member states in the UN Human Rights Council during its recently held 44th session last June. Rest assured that we will not dodge our obligation to fight for human rights. My countrymen, there are lessons to be learned from the coronavirus pandemic. It jolted us to realize that gains made after spending so much planning, effort, cost, and time could diminish considerably and quickly for reasons beyond one's anticipation. That it is much easier to destroy than build. That in a crisis of national proportion that affects every aspect of human life, government needs to have the support and cooperation of the people if it is to succeed in battling the cause of that crisis. That there are people who ask for compassion but show none themselves. That life, after all, is fickle like the weather. The gains we achieved for the first 3.5 years were put to a test when the pandemic suddenly struck the global community. While I am aware that the road towards a comfortable life would all be far easy if the pandemic had not occurred. And around the rest of the world, we suffered. The global scale and socioeconomic impact of COVID-19 pandemic has been unprecedented. Yet, in the throes of its global health emergency, we have been able to withstand the headwinds generated by this coronavirus. In this regard, I would like to express my gratitude to all those who made possible the steady supply of food, water, basic utilities of our households. And the provisions of basic social services and financial assistance to our people. Our profound gratitude goes to everyone who helped keep our country's food supply chain running. The valiant soldiers, policemen, and security guards who kept peace and order in our community. The dedicated personnel who kept our essential establishment operational. You showed us kindness and selflessness. You gave us strength. You risked your own lives to serve the greater good in keeping the Filipino spirit of bayanihan. I also thank the men and women of the Interagency Task Force on Emerging Infectious Diseases and the National Task Force Against COVID-19 for all the countless hours it spent to keep the pandemic in check and for all the efforts it made to ensure the safety of our people. Let me also recognize the efforts of the local government units that step up and initiated their own response measures to contain effects of COVID-19 and its impact to their constituents have been impact to its constituents. The shadow says it's a period there. I know exactly the difficulties you are undergoing. I pray that the officials of each LGU in our country, from the barangay to the autonomous regions, would set aside partisan politics and selfish interests to do what is right and good for all. Likewise, I likewise issued Executive Order Number 104, which imposed ceilings on retail prices of at least 133 drugs and medicines and directed a continuous review of the retail prices of others. This proved to be providential now that we are facing a pandemic. To everyone who helped us in this time of great need, maraming salamat po. We initially encountered difficulties ramping up our testing capacity. We now have 93 accredited testing laboratories nationwide, and we are aiming to conduct 1.4 million tests by end of July and ensure a quick turnaround time of 48 to 72 hours. Under the Social Amelioration Program, we allotted 2.5 billion to 2.5 billion for poor and low-income households who were affected during this pandemic, who thrive on a no work, no pay arrangement. Admittedly, our implementation of the Social Amelioration Program was not perfect, and some opportunists turned crisis into opportunity. We will catch up with you sooner than you think. We came up with the COVID-19 Adjustment Measures Program, extended financial assistance to over 650,000 affected individuals in the formal sector, 110 OFWs abroad, and almost 83,000 repatriated OFWs were also provided temporary wage employment to displace marginal workers through the TUPAD project. Our indigent senior citizens were also provided with a stipend for the rest of the semester of the year current year. This health emergency stretched government's resources to its limits. In response to the Office of the President, worked closely with Congress for the quick passage of the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. May I again reiterate my thanks to you, the men and women of Congress, for the effort you invested in passing that law. I hope that we can get some or the same treatment of clarity, purpose, and the fastness to support the passage of the Biennial Recover to Act as One, which is supplement funds for recovery and response against the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. We must facilitate the country's economic recovery. I call on Congress to fast-track the passage of the proposed measure, such as the Corporate Recovery and Tax Incentives Enterprises or CREATE Act. This immediately cuts the corporate income levy from the current 30 to 25% and give government flexibility to grant a combination of fiscal and non-fiscal incentives, among others. The Financial Institutions Strategic Transfer, or First Act, will set up mechanisms allowing banks and other financial institutions to dispose of and transfer non-performing assets and loans to asset management companies similar to the special purpose vehicles. Our economic managers have seen infrastructure investment as an effective tool to help spur high growth, attract investments, create jobs, and achieve financial inclusion for all Filipinos. The DBP has resumed the construction of the North Luzon Expressway Harbor Link, the NLEX-SLEX connector, the Cavite-Laguna Expressway, the Metro Manila Skyway Stage 3, the R1 Bridge Project, the Tarlac-Pangasinan-La Union Expressway Project, and the Subic Freeport Expressway Project, to name a few. To realize the maximum benefit from the country's investments, the infrastructure projects under the Build, Build, Build program, which are labor and capital intensive, are not mere springboard to the country's swift recovery pandemic. They are economic benefits to be distributed to all corners of the country and push sustainable stability in the urban centers, particularly Manila. The TESTA launched online mode of livelihood and skills training. There are 71 free online training to help upskill trainees for the right opportunities. I asked TESDA to come up with special training programs to retool our OFWs so they can find employment opportunities here and at home. I am also calling on the CHED for scholarship programs for the qualified dependents of our OFW. I direct the Department of Agriculture and DTI to come up with the agribusiness and entrepreneurship projects to help displaced OFWs rebuild their livelihood. Further, I ask the Land Bank and other government financial institutions to continue providing low interest loans to our OFW. Sa mga kababayan ko na naghihirap sa ibang bansa, nandito na ang inyong gobyerno para matulungan kayo at inyong mga pamilya, lalo na sa panahong ito. The government will intensify its efforts to help businesses, especially micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, by providing responsive government assistance and services capitalization and business operation support as we adapt to the next normal. Nanawagan po ako sa ating mga lessors. Nanawagan po ako sa ating mga lessors. Malasakit at bayanihan po ang sana ang pairalin natin ngayon. This is not the time to drive away leases. During normal times, they were the primary source of your income stream. Now it's time to be fair and compassionate. Come up with an amenable arrangement with your tenants. Wag po natin silang pagtabuyan, tanggalin ang tubig, kuryente at bubong. Commercial establishments are requested to give grace periods to allow deferment of payments, especially for MSMEs that were forced to close down during the quarantine period. Let us help them recover. We pump prime the recovery and rehabilitation of the MSMEs. The DTI to the Small Business Corporation set up the Philippine 1 billion COVID assistance to restart enterprises or CARES program to provide zero interest loans for MSMEs affected by the pandemic as of July 10, 2020. Over 2,600 loans applications worth more than 182.5 million have been approved. We are optimistic that this initiative will help our MSMEs stabilize and recover from their losses. I also join the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas and the banks operating in the country to provide regulatory relief for our MSMEs and allow loan payment extension without incurring penalties and charges. We need your help to prevent the collapse of companies saddled with accumulated amortization and payables caused by closure of their businesses at the height of the strict quarantine periods. As we embark on this effort towards inclusive recovery, we should acknowledge that all forms of government support will go to naught if the new MSMEs do not thrive because of lack of consumer support. Ito ang panahon para suportahan natin ang ating mga kababayan na nagnegosyo at gumawa ng mga produktong sariling atin. In the same manner, in tourism and recreation industries, which are among the hardest hit by the pandemic, count on our full support while we slowly try to put the fun back in your local travels. The national government agencies and LGUs must harmonize their policies to boost tourism, ensuring everyone's well-being. We enjoin our people to help boost the economy by traveling locally. Local na lang. Once the necessary system are in place. The DOST offers its enterprise technology upgrading program to enable businesses to access training that will help them transition to online and contactless operation. Now more than ever, we need to protect our consumers. I direct the Department of Trade and Industry to ensure the empowerment of Filipinos on consumer rights and coordinate strategies between public and private organizations in building a fair, safe, resilient, and sustainable economy. There are welcome developments for commerce and industry, but major economic activities take place in borderless environment with the meager regulatory controls. They expose consumers to various risks related to security, data, privacy, and misrepresentation. We must patrol the country's cyberspace and enforce online consumer and data protection and privacy laws. We must run after online scammers and those undermining the people's trust on the online transactions. We must continue to protect Filipinos in the normal and remind the world that we are responsible stewards of data. I am committed to protect both physical and digital lives of our law-abiding countrymen. The national government shall lead the way in our transition to online systems. I reiterate my call for all government instrumentalities to implement systems that shall make physical queuing a thing of the past. Panahon na para mawala na ang pila para mapagsilbihan ang gobyerno ng walang kahirapan para sa tao. The DILG, DBM, and the ARTA, along with all agencies and instrumentalities of government, are hereby directed to make full possible services available online. We need to adjust and adapt a paperless type of business and work performance. We need e-governance. E-governance are people with the services they need and the comfort of their homes in the work or workplaces. It will enable us bureaucracy to better transition into the new normal and cut red and minimize red tape. Until the COVID-19 vaccine is available, I will not allow the traditional face-to-face teaching or learning unless the risk of exposure to the sickness are eliminated. I cannot and will not put to rest the health and lives of our students and teachers. About 2 weeks ago, I seem to have said that I would allow the face-to-face classes to resume. But we were talking actually of January, because my thinking is that by September, we would have the vaccine. How to get it from the producers or from other governments is really something which we have to deal with, because everyone, it's a global need. and everyone will go for it. But let me just mention it in passing that about 4 days ago, I made a plea to President Xi Jinping that if they have the vaccine, can they allow us to be one of the first, or if it is needed, if we have to buy it, that we will be granted credit so that we can normalize as fast as possible. Life that is lost is lost forever. Courses that are not substantial can be supplemented. Education that is delayed can be recovered. We must implement online learning, modular learning, and TV and radio-based broadcasts, which students coming from different backgrounds can avail. DepEd will provide the printed modules for those who cannot afford online learning. In support of the learning continuity program through blended learning, we plan to increase the number of schools with ICT equipment in the coming months. The DepEd and the DITC are building up the public education network or PEN that will connect all public schools and DepEd offices nationwide. We will prioritize the connection of all last mile schools and those who, with no electricity supply, can have it via satellite and energized via solar panels. By 2022, before I step down, the PEN shall be realized. I'm referring to the program. I will do it. TV frequencies reverted back to government for whatever cause or reason shall not be used exclusively to the exclusion of other persons or other dummies to cope up with the demand of the next normal. This will be used to provide uninterrupted quality education to our children in our shift to e-learning. I am directing Secretary Guevara, Secretary De La Peña, and Secretary Onasan in collaboration with Secretary Briones and Secretary Abisado, together with Secretary Dominguez, to come up with an integrated program and implementation mechanism to ensure that these TV frequencies are fully utilized by government through the facilities of the PTV4 for the utmost benefit of the Filipino people. Let me just allow me to segue a little bit. For the remaining 2 years of my term, all that is good that belongs to government, whether it be the airwaves, whether it be the lines, or whatever that is good for the people, will belong to the government, and it should be government who should be given the first option to utilize them. Ang sobra kanila. I call on our communication companies to improve their services lest we be forced to take drastic steps to address the less than deal service that the public is getting from you. Alam mo, sisingit na lang ako dito. I am sometimes you are government pictured to be weak and incompetent because we cannot really force our mandate. Alam mo itong nagbibigay ng mga public services, you better improve. Huwag naman ninyo kaming pahintayin 10 taon bago kami makakamit ng mga services that the other countries are enjoying. If it's just a question of added capitalization or the infusion of money, go and look for it. Maghanap kayo, because if you are not ready to improve, I might just as well close all of you and we revert back to the line telephone. At kukunin ko yan, i-expropriate ko sa gobyerno. Alam mo itong I'll be straight. Smart. Pati itong Globe, ilang taon na ito? At ang sagot palagi sa akin, the party cannot be reached. Nasaan pala pumunta yung yawa na yun? Kung ganun lang naman ibigay niyo sa amin, we are a republic, a sovereign country. Bear that in mind, because the patience of the Filipino people is reaching its limit. At I will be the one to articulate the anger of the Filipino people. And you might not want what I intend to do with you. Kindly improve the services before December. I want to call Jesus Christ to Bethlehem. Better have that line cleared. Alam ko sa totoo ng Adre na po, na ako sa inyo. I have been a citizen of this country and parang nilalaro lang ninyong, kayong may pera. Puta. May pera kayo? Negosyo kayo. Wala kayong pera, putang, umalis kayo dito. You give us half deals, half cooked transactions, lousy service. Tapos ang tao nagbabayad. Tell us now if you cannot really improve on it, because I will work by December. I have 2 years. The next 2 years will be spent improving the telecommunications of this country. Without you, I will find a way. I will talk to Congress and find a way how to do it. Last year, I said that distributing economic business activities is imperative to our country's sustained and equitable growth. Today, I reiterate that statement. I issued Administrative Order Number 18, directing concerned agencies to strengthen the development of special economic zones in areas outside Metro Manila. I also issued Executive Order Number the same 114 to institutionalize the Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa program. This consolidates and refocuses existing economic and social welfare programs, activities, and projects toward the countryside. It is also an international agency council headed by Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea, which will create a framework for the effective implementation of the project. Kung hindi ninyo ako naiintindihan sa sinabasa ko, mas lalo ako. In 2021, we aim to increase access to healthcare services by continuously hiring and deploying more than 20,000 health professionals. This will augment health workforce in LGUs, particularly in isolated and disadvantaged areas. We will implement projects to establish and improve barangay health stations, rural health units, and other healthcare facilities. And we will need to address internal security. We are pursuing a whole of the nation approach to bring peace and order, development in the countryside. We need to provide intervention and implement the barangay development program. This will provide cleared and threatened communities. This refers to a program where the armed forces would play a vital role in the one nation approach. This is what it's meant by this. And that every agency of the government, including the armed forces of the Philippines, should participate. And I am aware of the skirmishes and the assassination of our soldiers. And I said, correct this so that we can proceed with the barangay implementation as fast as possible. We have made significant strides in the past 4 years, but we need the support of local government leaders. We need your help to implement the barangay development program. Certain sectors expressed concern when I declared martial law in Mindanao and its extension 3 times. But 2019 ended without my office requesting any further extension. Martial law in Mindanao ended without abuses by the civilian sector, by the police, by the military. It ended because this time I know that they know how to love the country. I thank Congress for the support to these administration programs. Congress has been very productive, but much more remains to be done. You know, actually, my speech, if we followed it carefully, it's all a plea to Congress to do this, to do that, to make a law or craft a whatever. And this one, I strongly urge Congress to pass a law establishing the Department of Overseas Filipinos solely on addressing the concerns of Filipinos abroad and their families. I reiterate the swift passage before this. Kawawa kasi itong ating mga overseas. If it's only an office there in the Labor Department, they are overworked or for whatever reason, their needs, their pleas are not really attended to with dispatch and with care. Yung OFW, pati itong ano ngayon, ito yung sinabi ko kanina, I will go for it. We will need it to help them. I reiterate the swift passage of a law reviving the death penalty by lethal injection for crimes specified under the Comprehensive Dangerous Act of 2002. I did not hear so much clapping, so I presume that they are not interested. Wala kang... Someday I'll tell you the story of what happened to the Philippines. Hindi ngayon. But when sabihin ko sa inyo ang totoo, bakit nagaganito yung droga ng Pilipinas? Why the drug syndicates continue to operate just like the countries of Colombia, Mexico, and it is being played inside the national penitentiaries. Para tayong talagang binababoy tayo. Sabihin ko sa inyo. But this is not a time for storytelling. SONA kasi ito. So dito na. This law will not only help us deter criminality, but also save our children from the dangers posed by the illegal and dangerous drugs. May I be allowed with the indulgence of the body? Itong bakit talaga ako galit sa droga. Let us make this a semi-formal speech. Alam mo kasi, 5 pamilya members o 6 or 7, pagka bumagsak yung tatay to drugs, the family crumbles. There's no more home to. Droga, and if he's receiving his salary, nagtatrabaho sa pantalan, 300 a day. Tapos ang shabu is sold at 2. He has about 100 to bring home. Kaya pagka gano'n, nag-aaway-aaway na, ang mga bata hindi nakapag-aral, ang iba ligaw na mga babae into early prostitution, kung ano-ano nangyari. Hindi lang alam nitong mga na this is happening all over the country every day. And what is really very tragic is this. When the family starts to crumble, there's no more family home. And invariably, the wife would look for another husband would look for a job, usually easily doon sa abroad. At yung asawa, aalis, yung lalaki na sa droga, yung mga anak iniiwan sa kapitbahay, sa kapatid. And the ferocity of the loss of the Filipino family home has been destroyed. Kaya kung anong mangyari nito, the wife works in the Middle East. I am not zeroing on any particular country, mind you. But alam naman natin, there are tribes in the Middle East, which would allow rape as part of the territory of being a house help. Kasama yan. Kasama talaga yan. So yan ang mahirap dyan. You have a wife there being crucified, being used, magpadala ng pera, tapos ang mga anak, asan na sa Cebu na rin. Kasi these are the guys that the Cebu people would really, stick by them until it crumbles, the resistance. And then you have plenty of this all over the country. Nila alam. Yung sinasabi nila ng misery sa human rights, plus 10 yan. Not to count the victims of crimes perpetrated by people addicted to Cebu. That is the reason why I'm so vicious in my galit talaga ako. Nilalaroan tayo. Well, I don't know. Any other president might, pero ako ayaw kong lalaroan ng Pilipino. Do not do it in my country because I will really kill you. That is a commitment. Owning safe, decent, and affordable housing is every Filipino's dream. But the housing market remains inaccessible to most of our countrymen. I renew my call for Congress to pass the National Housing Development Bill and the Rental Housing Subsidy Bill. These will enable all Filipinos, regardless of social status, may mga profession. Singit ko na lang lahat to tell this is to inform the nation. May mga profession na they would require, I think it's the nicest, they would require them to come to Manila to retrain and for another round of expenses. Itong mga seminar na ito, dapat mahinto. I don't know in other provinces, but during my time sa barangay expeditions ng mga opisyal, hininto ko rin yan. And which reminds me, I will act on this also due time. We hail our health professionals as heroes. Now is the time to pass the Advanced Nursing Education Act and the law instituting the Medical Reserve Corps. COVID-19 will not only be the last pandemic. We need to create National Disease Prevention Management Authority to better respond to future outbreaks. We count on Congress to full support. You can just let it remain for a while in the Department of Health kung wala pang pera, but you have to expand the services. It would also entail a little bit of money, but not really as much as expensive when you set up a department. In the long term, we are looking into the creation of the National Disease Prevention and Management Authority to better prepare for the pandemics, protect lives, and allow development to proceed even in the worst of times. We are counting on the full support of Congress for this critical, important endeavor. I don't know, but I leave it to Congress to really. It's another department. There seems it could be a multi-layer redundant thing between the health and the proposed department. I call on Congress to prioritize the passage of a law for the unified system of separation, retirement, and pension, and of the military and uniformed personnel, without, however, diminishing the benefits that our uniformed personnel are entitled to under existing laws. There is a need to adjust the pension system, which will be applicable only to the newly hired uniformed personnel, so as not to cause a ballooning effect against the budget of the military in the years to come, and yet maintain the pension benefits those already in service under the present law. This issue needs a solution now. Umpisa natin ngayon para hindi na maging problema sa sunod na mga taon. I want to, one of the, this is not politicking, I am not running, I cannot run anymore. Yung dinoble ko yung sweldo ng police pati army, it was really a clarion call para for them also to have a decent life and that they're able to get the things which ordinarily cannot be reached by any government employee. Ang akin doon is yung corruption. That maybe it might be a vain attempt, but maybe dagdagan ng sweldo para it would be a hedge against corruption. We must also modernize the Bureau of Fire Protection and the Bureau of Immigration with urgency. Alam mo, sa Davao, and if you go there, I can show you. One of the serviceable trucks, fire trucks that we have in the city of Davao. Of course, ang city meron ng sarili, aside from the Bureau of Fire, which is really national. Meron yung Bureau of Fire, would you believe it, serviceable still. Ang pangalan ng truck is Studebaker. Ang katawan, ang talagang matatag ang katawan. Kaya ang makina isuso. Pero okay pa rin. It can put out. Totoo. This is how this Bureau of Fire issue medyo na overlook natin ng matagal. I emphasize the creation of the Department of Disaster Resilience and our people's safety, which cannot be delegated to any council or commission. Equally important is the establishment of evacuation center in every city, province, municipality throughout the country. We must act before another major disaster shakes into action. Problem is disaster and even a fire. This cannot be made a study for projection when the earthquake would suddenly come and make a big crack there. Hindi natin alam talaga. Ang ibig kong sabihin, this will require more than just one brain work kung paano talaga itong how to prevent or avoid disaster. It would be, by the way, just before starting, I was tempted to say it, pero baka magtindigan kayo. It will be all right for me if Bongo will just stay. Wala akong problema. Sabi ko na this piece of speech of mine would be one of the longest SONAs that I will deliver. Nakita ko yung page pagbigay sa akin. Yung ibang input akin. Pati yung iba lahat. Ang nangyari po, binalik ko sa kanila. Make it short. Pagbalik sa akin, mas makapal na. Nandyan na ngayon. Ito na ngayon. The responsible extraction and equitable distribution of natural resources remain among my non-negotiables. I reiterate the need for the passage of the National Land Use Act, which has been pending for decades. Pakisilip lang ho ninyo yan. For the rest of my term, I hope to see concerted efforts in protecting the environment. The rehabilitation of Boracay Island showcased our resolve to safeguard the environment. Boracay is doing well because of its scenery. If it's only a coconut and a black sand, white sand and water, wala yan. Pero you add the visitors there, then it becomes a very tempting destination. We have seen remarkable emergence of the island back to its former glory. I want this sustained. I ask Congress to enact a law creating, importante ito, the Boracay Island Authority or BIDA. We need it. I cannot stress enough the importance of agriculture. The growth of our economy depends on a robust agricultural sector. We must utilize the coconut, we must utilize the coconut levy for the welfare of our coconut farmers and the development of our coconut industry. I urge everybody, both of the executive department, pati ito, that ito yung pera na nakuha doon sa sequester. And itong perang malaking ito, gagamitin ito for the welfare of the farmers. The problem is, we can no longer trace who are the farmers of yesterday. Marcos is a distant star. We do not know. Ako alam ko because we had a little piece also that was covered by the land reform. Hindi na natin malaman kung sino ang may-ari. So I think Congress should look again and try to sort out how best the money can be utilized. I will not make any suggestion, but I leave it to Congress to decide what to do with it. I once again urge both houses of Congress to pass a version of the bill establishing the Coconut Farmers Trust Fund. Tulungan natin ang ating mga magsasaka pagka hindi mawawala yung pera, bilyon yan. Diyos ko po. Well, anyway, We have learned so many lessons along the way. I am also requesting Congress to pass the Rural Agricultural and Fisheries Development Financing System Act. We aim to provide adequate, accessible, and affordable food for every Filipino through the Plant program. After the build, I think this is easier to achieve. A few good men, few good regional directors, DAR, and dedicated workers down below could make this thing a success. Mas madali ito kaysa build. Ito plant lang. It is more of how you try to convince the farmers to cooperate government for their benefit. This 66 billion agricultural stimulus package will help the agricultural and fisheries sector recover. I hope so. We need to build trust and confidence in online transactions, stronger protection on online consumers, and enabling measures for online business needed to the enactment of an Internet Transaction Act. This is very good. I thus direct the Department of Trade and Industry and other relevant agencies to work on it closely with Congress, ensuring that the provisions of the proposed bill are responsive to the needs of the consumers while promoting the growth of e-commerce in the country. If you are tired of clapping, you just say so I can make a shortcut. Pabilisan lang. On the path of better governance, we travel with other partners, both old and new, have helped bolstering the antiquated public health system, for bringing home or laid off Filipinos overseas, for filling in supply gaps for crucial medical supplies and equipment and staple food. For these and many more, the Philippines thanks all friendly nations. We will never forget your kindness and your timely support. Within ASEAN and beyond the Philippines, we will continue to work with partners to address global perils and ramp up cooperation to secure for our peoples greater peace, progress, and prosperity. The Filipino nation claims its rightful place in a community of sovereign states. Thus, we will continue to pursue an independent foreign policy. Let me be very clear about this. May I cut my prepared speech? Alam mo, I read little over 3 weeks or last month na the Americans intends to go back to Subic. I'll just put on record my thoughts. I have nothing against America. I have nothing against China. But if you put bases here, you double the spectacle of a most destructive thing. Just like Manila during the Second World War, during the retaking of this city, it was one of the most devastated cities in the world. Kaya maglagay-lagay ka ng base at this time. This will ensure, if war breaks out, because there would be atomic arsenals brought in. This will ensure the extinction of the Filipino race. We work without fail to protect our rights in the South China Sea, neither beholden nor a pawn to anyone. We broaden the boundaries of Philippine diplomacy. We build productive ties with everyone willing to engage us on the basis of equality and mutual respect. And we redefined our relationships with our most important partners, placing the country in a far better position to advance our interests in an evolving regional order and emerging global problems. Now, plenty of critics, both sides, claim about nothing has been done to retake forcefully or physically the South China Sea. Alam mo, unless we are prepared to go to war, I would suggest that you better just call off and treat this, I said, with the diplomatic endeavors. China is claiming it. We are claiming it. China has the arms. We do not have it. So, it's simple as that. They are in possession of the property. You remember property, you're a lawyer, property rights. They are, it has nothing to do with the Philippine laws on property, but it's akin to, they are in possession. So what can we do? We have to go to war. And I cannot afford it. Maybe some other president can, but I cannot. Inutil ako dyan, sabihin ko sa inyo. And I'm willing to admit it. Talagang inutil ako dyan. Walang magawa. I cannot. The moment I send my Marines there at the coastal shores of Palawan, tinamaan ng cruise missile lahat yan. Hindi pa nga sit sail yan eh. Sabog na. Let me see again that the victory in a global battle against COVID-19 would take longer than we expect. Everyone's cooperation is needed. I know that you have, the Filipino people, have sacrificed a lot, but we have no other choice but to work together and to do even more. I must admit that our actions have been far from perfect. Totoo yan. I admit it. And there could be improvements here and there. But all of us in government, including myself, assure you that we will not stop until we get things right and better for you. I know that many of you are worried not only about health and safety, but also about our ability to move around and ride public transportation. The depletion of your savings due to the rising cost of goods and the loss of your incomes due to uncertainties in your jobs and livelihood, I assure you that your government will address squarely these problems and challenges to overcome them and proceed to a new normal. Marami ho talagang mawawalaan ng those for a middle income. They buy a car on installment basis. You cannot keep up with the amortization. You lose it. You lose the car. And you are forced to ride on public utilities. Concomitantly, didiretso rin itong mga kriminal na rarami at crimes will increase. But let me assure you, for as long as I am president, there can never be a runaway crime in any of our cities. Hindi ako papayag naman. I can assure you, we will remain peaceful. Relatively peaceful. Hindi naman very peaceful. Pero kung sabihin mo na kagaya ng hold up dito, hold up, alam naman nila kung anong mangyari. You know what will happen to you. I am addressing myself to the criminals. You commit hold-ups, you commit rape, you commit all sorts of things, and you harm the public, then kaaway mo na ako. Pag bumalik kayo sa dati, kagaya noon, patong-patong na naman ang patay dito. Sigurado, hahanapin ko kayo. Do not ever go back to your old ways. Maghanap na lang kayo ng anong trabaho dyan. Magtiis kayo. To open up the economy to pre-COVID-19 levels at this time is not an option because whatever good it can produce will only be gobbled up or be outweighed by the bad it will generate sometimes. Haste makes waste. The recent upsurge of infection, when you open little windows of resumption of business, is proof of that. I am happy that I have talked to you today. You know, in other places, they opened up too early, too soon. America is one. China, well, fortunately, it was arrested on time. China and the rest, for those who open up, and those who do not follow the protocols of at least the World Health Organization, they are suffering. And they have at least 140 deaths. And America, kukulang sila lahat. No nation on earth was really prepared for COVID. No amount of preparation because that kind of microbes visits about once every 100 years. Wala man yung mga tatay natin. What they suffered was Second World War. But tayo, we are not ready and therefore will not gamble with the lives and health of the people. Certainly no one would want to end up in the negative side of the equation. Not me, not us. All I ask is that you continue to put your faith in your government and work with us in achieving what is best for the country and our people. Together, let us do, mahirap basahin kasi dito, the most that we can to ensure that this health, safety, and well-being of every Filipino, especially those severely affected, are taken care of. Together, we shall fight this pandemic with the same fervor as our campaign against illegal drugs, criminality, insurgency, and corruption in high places, and entrenched parochial interest. As a government worker, I am addressing each and every Filipino that the government cannot do this without your help. More than ever, we need to reinvigorate the deep-seated Filipino spirit of pakisama and malasakit within each and every one of us. We are being tested as a people and as a nation. Worse times loom ahead. But I do hope that this spirit of solidarity, aid, unity will serve as a drumbeat to which we shall march in unison in our quest for the light at the end of the tunnel. I appeal to each and every Filipino, let us take care of one another. Ito ang panahon para magtulungan, hindi panahon para maglamanan, mamang, dila ko. Hindi maglamang at pagkakaisa. My faith in the Filipino innate patience, resilience, and determination to bounce back is unwavering. Let us share our blessings with those who have little and those who have none. This is the time to bring out the best in us. The woes that weigh heavily on our shoulders may bend our back, but they shall not bend or break our spirit. From the rubbles of adversity, a more resilient and stronger nation, built on bayanihan and pagkakaisa, shall rise. Together, we shall overcome. Before I pardon the time, but it was really the allotted time for my speech, I would just like to give a statement between us sa gobyerno kung hindi tayo nakakaintindihan. You know, Drilon extended, he was defending. I would like to ask Drilon, were you a part of Accra when this contract of Ayala Water was being drafted? And why are you fumigating? Bakit kasi ikaw lang ang galit? Nasabi mo na dynasty. You are a hypocrite. You know that you cannot pass an anti-dynasty law. Ikaw nandyan sa Congress, ikaw ang mauna dito. But you know, to take it against me for protecting my country is something which I really resent. Alam mo, you describe using the dictionary the synonym ng mga oligarchy. Then you proceeded to characterize everyone, every name, and then said that oligarchy is not bad at all because not all oligarchies are bad. True. But ito, to my countrymen, the oligarchy that exists in this country is the oligarchy that existed during the Spanish time. And the Spanish lands and the friar lands and all the benefits that were passed on to the insulares who did not go back to Spain or to the Spaniards and into their... But that was long ago. It has been forgotten. This is the oligarchy that controls the Philippines by what? By taking control of the water and the electricity and power. Yan ang oligarchy mo, Drilon. Wala nang oligarchy dito except that they have control. Look at How can you now craft a new contract? Because I would insist that you pay the billions and billions that you collected. For example, water treatment. Oh, nandyan sa kontrata. It's in the billing. They've been collected. Since 1997. Ilang bilyon na nga wala ni isa. Not even a faucet was built for a water treatment facility. Yan ang mahirap sa, you do not protect the oligarchs here. You are the one, ikaw lang mag-isa. And I suspect that you were also the one or help when you were there in the Accra. We do not even know ang mga abogado sa public documents. Hindi nga alam. Hindi natin alam kung nakagraduate ba o hindi. Wala. Would you think Ayala would get the services of those? Ayala got Accra. Accra did it. Ikaw galing ka doon. Most of you, more successful lawyers sa corporation. You handle big corporate. Yan ang mahirap. O, bangga tayo dito. Hinawakan ninyo eh. Hindi ka pwede kayo. Kita mo, noong nag-increase, walang tubig, pinuputol yung tubig. Ang tao, bumigay kasi hindi pwede yung tayo di maligo. Hindi uminom. Electricity, ayaw mag-increase. O ayan, wala ka. Palaging brown out lahat. I'm sorry, but I have to say this to you. I do not like it. It's not the time for it. But since it is the time for the SONA, for people to know and people to really get the facts, then and the right of the people to be heard. Tayo na naman ang tao magsama. Hinawakan ninyo yung tubig, pati electricity. Yun ang oligarchy. Kaya ako sinabi ko noong kumpanya, corruption is not here. Yung mga customs, maliit yan. It's there upstairs. And I was really unprovidential. Dumating yung panahon na hindi ko hiningi. Then I saw the contract. Nung nakita ko yung contract na. Saka yung linya na yung choice, yung linya ng it belongs to government. The best of the transmission lines, whatever, government gets it first before anybody else. Thank you. I am through.
Ayan, mga kaibigan.
The joint session is adjourned. On the part of the House of Representatives, the joint session is adjourned.
Ayan, mga kapatid. Natapos din ng ng ating mahal na Pangulo, ang kanyang SONA. Yan, dami pong napag-usapan. Talagang, kumbaga ay, pero yung sa akin doon, yung natatak, dapat itong mga serbisyo sa Pilipinas, unang-una dito sa internet, dapat na to. Until December, naku, patay na. Ganyan talaga. Anyway, abangan natin ang pagpasok ng ating kapatid na si Yep. Grabe. As in, grabe. Napaka-intense po talaga mga kapatid ng SONA ng presidente ngayon. Ayan, kita natin si andyan si Doc Kelly. Sasama yan sa atin mamaya dito. Si Doc Kelly. Again, mga kaibigan, maraming salamat po sa mga taong sumama sa amin. Si Sharon, nandyan pa rin. Nakatulog ka ba siya? Unmute ka, unmute.
Hindi. No, hindi. Very, very interesting. Maraming mga point na nakuha ko sa SONA ni President Duterte, and there's also a lot of eye openers, and marami din siya mga project coming through in the next couple of months and within the year after the end of his presidency. So nako, tinatrabahuhan niya yung mga public servants.
Yeah, trabaho kayo dapat.
Yeah. Wala silang pahinga.
Walang pahinga dapat. Ako, alam mo na yung sabi mo nga, naikwento mo nga yung electricity sa mga kanayunan sa rural areas. So, ayun. Kasi pag walang electricity ang pati ako nabulol na sa rural areas, yung online na education sa mga bata ay maaring matawag ito, maaring hindi magawa, ika nga. So kaya ayan, at binigyan niyang diin talaga na itong mga negosyo sa Pilipinas, lalo if we're talking about internet, na mag-improve until December.
Yes.
Nako.
You know, so at saka yung telecommunication, global smart, dapat lang. Kasi it's affecting lahat ng, hindi lang yung individual na, yung mga citizens, yung mga businesses, you know, it's interrupting their productivity, especially yung mga hospitals. I know dito sa Australia, they use a lot of online, yung online meetings, or sometimes because of the COVID, there's no face-to-face. So ang ginagamit nila is just a lot of online conferencing, diba? So especially kapag you're looking at yung mga hospitals na they operate sometimes, diba? Sa mga computers, sa mga machines and everything else, diba?
Ayan,
You know,
welcome natin si Doc Kelly. Doc, ayusin mo yung camera mo, nakatagilid.
Ay, I'm sorry.
Yan.
Yeah, he's giving them until January 2021 to clear their network.
Yeah.
Kamusta, Doc Kelly?
Okay, hello sa lahat. Una sa lahat, I'd like to say thank you, DJ Yui, and of course, Canadian Pinoy Radio Montreal, for the invitation. Pasensya na, na-late tayo, andun tayo sa loob ng official Zoom conference sa SONA, and then we started early, like around 11 or so, nagsimula na. Dali ha. Kasi nga, may briefing si Director Joyce Bernal, so, you know, okay, before tayo So, anyway, andito na tayo. So, hello sa mga followers mo dito, DJ Yui sa Canadian Pinoy Radio Montreal, and of course, may Sharon, girlfriend, hello.
Kamusta?
Very sabi ng Pangulo, one of the longest speeches that he had, and indeed it's very long, and then nilista ko yung mga points na ano niya, na mga diniscuss niya. Pero what fascinates me at all, the GU, you know, he started with banat kagad. He started with whipping Senator Drilon.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And basically yung SONA niya, it encapsulates the achievement of his administration for the past years. So he spoke about the economy, about the mitigation impact in an IATF sa pandemic, at ano yung plano niya. But the cornerstone sa hinantay ko pa from the PCOO yung transcript ng official transcript ng address niya, yung SONA niya, pero the cornerstone of his fifth SONA is actually about the oligarch, actually. So by not granting a new franchise and extending franchise the ABS-CBN, and of course by calling out the telco, the smart and the globe to shape up, to improve their processes, delivery of services, the water concessioners, and even the energy sector. He is actually calling out all the oligarchs to shape up, to change their business, how they do they perform their businesses in the country. So parang wake up call yun sa kanila na una, the president has political will to do what he thought is right, and he exemplified it in Boracay. Napalinis niya. He exemplified it in Manila Bay. He exemplified na pwedeng matanggalan ng prangkisa if lumabag ka sa batas kasi franchise is a privilege. And kayo, taga-telco, kung mahina pa rin yung signal ninyo, Globe at Smart, pwede kung kunan kayo ng business permit or stop ang inyong mga negosyo kung hindi kayo magbigay ng best delivery of services, which is tama. So it gives them the sign na, oh, we have to shape up. I hope it sends the message clear para sa mga oligarchs.
Well, it will because Doc Kelly, you've touched on the Globe and the Smart network services, because the President Duterte has given them a ultimatum, which is a time frame at the end of this year. So by January 2021, if they don't shape up and come up with a proper services, or to at least improve yung network nila, yun nga sinabi ni President Duterte, tanggal sila. So
actually, actually DGUW, Sharon, at sa lahat ng mga followers mo dito, DGUW, the third telco, the Mesatel, is already approved actually. It just so happened that the NGCP, yung mga cable lines also, hindi pa natapos eh. It is a consortium of a China company, 40%, 60%. NGCP, I don't know who owns part of it, the Filipino side. Para there is a better competition. Kasi nga, Globe and Smart, they cornered the telco sector. Hence, since limited yung competition, they can give higher prices kasi walang choice ang mga consumers eh. And they can lower the speed of the internet at a high price, which is, at the end of the day, lugi ang konsumidor. So, opening the competition to the telcos, to others, even to smaller ones, will make the prices cost effective. And of course, you have to perform best para ang mga tao doon kukuha sa'yo. So ngayon wala pa. So at least the president send them a signal na kung hindi ninyo yan gagawin, mawawalan kayo ng franchise also, or will remove the business to you. The government could take over, and then or another company could come into play. And this is $1 billion loss for them if they won't shape up. So if I were them, I'd rather conform to the executive order of the president para happy lahat.
Yeah. So Doc Kelly, having said that, can I ask a question? Is there like a consumer competition regulation sa Philippines, so that like any privatized businesses that are coming into the Philippines will have some form of regulatory board? Na I know dito sa Australia na before yung what do you call this, yung telecommunication used to be public, as well as the electricity used to be public or owned by the government, right? And now it became a privatized sector. So by becoming private, it allowed a lot of other services from all over the country to come into Australia and form, right?
Actually, we have that. I don't know what's the counterpart of the Better Business Bureau. We have that actually because we are a capitalist country. However, it was being cornered by two big conglomeration. Di ba, the GUE, Smart and PLDT, di ba? Sila ang partnership po.
Globe.
Smart and PLDT is one. And
and then
Globe Telecom is owned by Ayala, I think. Ayala.
Yes. So, Pangilinan is Smart PLDT, Globe is by the Ayala. So, sila lang. And then, I don't know, Sun Cellular, who owns that one?
Sun is bought by, binili na ng Smart din. Talk and Text, Smart, ayun nga, Talk and Text, binili na ng Smart. And then the other one, yung Sun, binili na rin yata din ng Smart din. So, wala na talaga ito sa tao.
So they're monopolizing, in other words, they're monopolizing the telecommunication sector so that no other businesses can enter Philippines?
Actually, it is way 30 years ago during the time of the Aquino. Because at the time of President Marcos, the telco is state-controlled. So since it's state-controlled, hindi masyadong mahal pa ang PLDT, hindi masyadong mahal eh. So when capitalists came in because of greed, kinuha nila lahat, they single-handedly took over, at it created the oligarchy. What is oligarch? The power is concentrated to chosen few, which has influence over political authority, which has influence over business opportunity, and in doing so, controlling the whole country. So, kung bubuwagin mo ang oligarkiya at i-open mo sa mga maliliit by opening ito to mga ibang mga negosyante na wala masyadong clout or power or influence, you are making free competition way better. Kasi nga maraming options, maraming choices. Free enterprise, good business, So that should be the case. Creating a leeway and opening it to other sectors who can supply or who can participate in the competition. Yun ang kulang. Kasi once makuha water concession, kuha sa mga Lopez, I would say real estate, Villars, kuha nila. So meron silang sariling turf. So if hindi yan ma-monopolize, if because ganito kasi yan.
Yeah, but if there's a regulation,
there is a regulation. There is a regulation. But since
why is it monopolized by just a few na may mga pera, like, you know what I mean?
The others cannot compete because they both say, sabi ni DGUE, the Smart and PLDT is one, but they both the Talk and Text, right? They both the Sun Cellular. So it become a monopoly. So ito yung dapat ang bubuwagin. Kasi kawawa ang bago na So this is what Duterte is trying to exhibit at his SONA, that there is oligarchy. And when Rilon said there is no oligarchy doesn't mean to be rich. No. Macmillan Dictionary, Merriam-Webster Dictionary, oligarchy is a group of few people who has influence of political power, economic power, wherein they control the fate or the future of the country. May clout sila. They can dictate who could be elected through mass media. They can dictate who owns power, and by doing so, they have also political power at the House of Congress. So that is what Duterte is trying to break. Para there is a little fairness and there is no monopoly. And with it, people has voices. Kaya nga tayo, di ba? So
But having the oligarchy as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. So having the oligarchy is keeping people poor. If that is the case, kasi if they are having the power, if they're controlling the small group of people, to keep them poor, so that when it comes to election,
manipulation,
it's easy for them. Yeah, it's easy for them to manipulate, and it's cheaper for them to pay all of these voters as well, diba?
Correct. Tama.
The GUE, any questions the GUE on any areas of
Yeah,
nila, the
ano ba yung
president.
pinaka na-highlight doon sa kasi ako nakikinig ako tapos ang pinaka nagustuhan ko kasi pinaliwanag mo na about ito sa mga telco nga, and then the other one is yung sa kanayunan nga na mabigyan na ng mga elektrisidad, at saka isa pa, other point is ang gusto ko doon yung sabi, matagal na namin sinasabi yan dito na pag na-correct na po yung internet sa Pilipinas at maayos yung mga online services ng mga agencies sa gobyerno at pati na rin yung postal, sagot na rin ito sa matagal ng problema sa traffic diyan sa EDSA. Oo.
Precisely po. Precisely po. At I don't know, Miss Sharon de Gioe, hello po muna kay Bunyon. Hello sa inyo, Jorain, Bus Inaro, hello. Lisa JP, hello. Creed Sorer, hello po. Pero isa na solusyon na minention ni President Duterte na at the time of former President Marcos, di ba, the energy crisis is really a ticking time bomb at the 1986 yung kinuha nila. But you know why? Wala sana tayo sa problema sa energy kung ginamit ni Corazon Aquino ang Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. And part of which is, member tayo Modesta side, member tayo sa mga meeting sa Malacanang, the president really had the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant be looked into. He created a team na i-studyhan kung workable pa, functional pa, kasi he is bent on using it because it's an energy elephant in the country. It's like the President Marcos spent more like $200 million for that. And kung functional pa siya, magamit pa siya, who knows?
Dalawa, di ba? There's two, di ba? Two power plants.
Isa pa lang. I'm not privy to it.
Yung bataan lang naman ang bataan lang.
Yeah. Iba. So if it will be utilized, the GUE, Ms. Sharon, at sa ating lahat, it could solve the energy crisis in the country. But what the detractors said, what the opposing, because I'm into evidence-based and spoke one of the physicists, one of the mechanical engineers, actually maraming bansa ang ginagamit ang nuclear power plant.
Yes.
Part America, Japan, mayroon namang technology na mapiprevent mo ang sakuna at disaster. So kung nandyan na yan, at functional siya, at it could save you to do risk-benefit ratio. If I were the president, I will pursue it and it will serve really sa itong energy crisis ng bansa, maibsan.
Yes.
That alone,
make it cheaper.
Makaginhawa ang mga tao. Yeah.
Yes, yes. What about this that water treatment facility na si Duterte has mentioned about the question to Deron na sinabi niya na were you a part of the ACRA when this was drafted?
So, ganito. ACRA, correct me if I'm wrong, DGUE. So, Angara, it's a law firm na grupo ni na.
It's a law firm.
Yeah, it's a law firm. Drilon was a senior partner of the law firm. And during that time, when they create a concessionaires agreement, he was part on the side of the government because he was one executive secretary or justice secretary of the first person, Corazon Aquino, right? So, and then he was blaming why is it that the agreement of the concessionaires between the government and the water concessionaires, it becomes so lopsided that the government is at a losing end. The president corrected him. You were once at the Department of Justice. You were an executive secretary of the first President Aquino. You agreed upon, you were once of the lawyers who were consulted, your law firm was consulted at that time to represent in behalf of the president of the government per se. Why did you agree for such a very lopsided, unfair water concessions agreement? So if you are asking Duterte administration that we are at the losing end, then the president pointed back to them that it is you who created the blunders when you agreed the concessionaires agreement, which is unfair or disadvantageous to the government. And kailangan na ripasuin yun. And the president is looking into that. And not only Drilon was involved, all other lawyers sa taga-Accra. So some mga anak nila, mga senador ngayon. So kailangan na ba balasahin?
He mentioned Ayala as well in that question.
Yeah, actually.
He mentioned Ayala.
Yeah. Actually, ang water concessions is Maynilad and WSS. May mga ano yan, may Pangilinan branch, may mga Ayala, may mga Lopez. So I'm not so private with. So, again, the oligarchs, they are there. I hope sana di Joey ang oligarchs hindi oligarchs, ang mga negosyante merong apelyido natin na ordinaryong tao lang, di ba? So wala, puro sa kanila lahat eh. So yun ang ipinaano ng Pangulo na kailangan i-break ang oligarch. But it doesn't mean that breaking the oligarch, he will be belligerent to them to the point that he will put down their business. No, it sends them a signal that, hey, wake up. If you will continue your bad business practices, then the government will take over or we won't give you the franchises or so para ma-stop na. And that just proves something that the president really is on the side of the masses. I mean, he is a working president, right?
Tama talaga. Kasi matagal na problema talaga sa Pilipinas yan. Kung tutuusin, itong mga negosyanteng ito, puro kabig. Tapos, katulad yan, sa tubig, mayroon silang para sa treatment na gagawin nila. Pero, ayun, kinukolekta lang nila yung bayad. It was discussed by Coach Jarrett sa kanya, isa sa mga panoorin niyo yung diniscuss ni Coach Jarrett about sa Meralco din, yung mga hinihingi. Kung titingnan niyo yung mga bills ninyo, mga kaibigan, lalo na yung sa Pilipinas, katakot-takot na charges ang nilalagay dyan, kung tutuusin. Di ba?
Tapos ang daming mga blackout.
Yeah, buti na lang itong telephone natin, diretso ang charges, internet, diretso ang charges. Kasi kung pwede pa nilang lagyan yan ng jacking up, baka nilagyan na. Kaso lang, hindi nila pwedeng malagyan. So, sa tubig, sa kuryente, grabe. As in, grabe. So, ako, natuwa ako sa mga sinabi ng Presidente nga kanina, na yun na nga, kailangan mag-step up yung mga negosyo sa Pilipinas, lalo-lalo na itong sa tubig, sa kuryente, tapos itong sa internet, at tapos mga, yun nga, communication.
Sa telecom,
bahala na kayo sa buhay niyo, kumbaga. Diba?
Correct. So basically, ang tinira ng Pangulo are the basic services, energy, water, electricity, internet. That's the three main and basic services. Buti na lang, hindi mga highfalutin yung pinaano niya. But inisa-isa niya lahat, pero merong isa lang na gusto ko sana. I hope he spend more time. Kahit ako, kahit DDS ako, I still critique because we cannot say that the government is perfect. The government is imperfect, but even with its imperfections, it tries to solve each of the problem besetting the country. Hindi perfecto ang Pangulo, hindi perfecto ang gobyerno, but we have a working government na nakikinig sa mga tao, nakikinig sa atin sa social media, nakikinig sa media. Kaya kung meron kayong gustong ipanukala, nandito si DJ Uwe sa Canadian Pinoy Radio Montreal, nandito tayo sa Real Talk Discussion sa YouTube, meron din ako sa Facebook most of the time. I-PM nyo sa amin, hindi namin sasabihin na we will solve this right and there, but rest assured, we will be the bridge to give it to any department na kailangan na isang guni. And it has been tested at we magfa-follow up naman at meron namang solusyon, especially sa mga OFW. Especially. So yun ang ginagawa natin na tumutulong. Ang sa akin lang is, regardless of its imperfection, we have a listening and a working government that really showed it to the people na merong gobyerno na hindi malayo. Kasi noon nakita natin, presidente parang kingly, parang ganun yan sila, parang we are far from there. Pero
correct.
Ngayon darama natin sino ba tayo para makaano na, di ba? Hindi, noon walang gobyerno na parang helpless ang tao. Pero ngayon, with help of social media, maano kagad ma-relay. And 888, nandyan at action kaagad. So, yun lang, meron talagang positive impact ang nangyari sa pamahalaan ni Pangulong Duterte. But again, hindi perfecto and it's a work of progress.
Working progress.
Yeah. So, ano pag gusto mong ma-discuss?
Siguro, mamaya tapusin natin, pagbalik natin mamayang magabi, magpahinga muna tayo. At least,
Yeah.
Meron pa akong question
mamaya,
Ang dami kong
i-reserve
question.
mo mamaya. Pagbalik natin, kailangan mag-rest muna si Doc Kelly. Ako
Yeah.
din. Magre-rest
Sige
din
po.
ako.
Meron
Oo.
kasi akong invitation din sa isang vlogger na mag-live kami. Tapos
sige.
meron din isang radio station sa Pilipinas. So, pero okay lang. Sige, 2 minutes, okay pa. Kung ano-ano niyo. While nakabarong ako kasi hindi na ko
Yeah, actually,
sorry, Dr. Kelly, nagtanong si JR, sabi niya, bakit daw ako sabi ko, tanungin ka niya.
Sabi
Ano
ko
sagot mo?
kasamahan JR, DGUA, sabi ko kay Sharon, pag mag-akyat ka doon, magkimuna ka. Kasi pa, sabi niya, wala akong kimuna sa mama ko. Hiramin mo sa mama mo, sabi niya, mas mataba daw mama niya kaysa kanya. yeah. DGUA, may tanong po kayo?
At actually nasagot mo na lahat yung yung gusto kong ilabas muna kasi ang insights nga about doon. Ang pinakamaganda talaga doon, yun lang naman yung about sa internet nga na maano talaga yan, mas solusyonan yan. Kasi nga ako, malaki paniwala ko na pag itong internet connection sa Pilipinas lumakas ito po yung magiging solusyon ng karamihang problema sa Pilipinas. At yung sinabi ng Presidente na kailangan mag-step up lahat ng mga agency, mag-online na, paperless na, ang ganda nun. Pinakamaganda sa lahat. Sa lahat talaga, pinakamaganda.
Actually, DGUA, tama ka talaga. Tama. Kasi we lag behind. Sabi ko, we are 30 years behind from North America. Lahat tayo dapat electronic na, digital na, at kung ang speed ng internet ay katulad sa Amerika, ay nako, mabilis ang negosyo sa Pilipinas, mabilis lahat, at malimit ang bureaucracy at ang korupsyon. Tama po kayo, DJU.
At saka yung education is not going to be so, would not lag behind the way that it is now. Look at what happened to the pandemic. So many people can't even go to school, and the ones that are underprivileged hihinto yung mga progress nila sa academics nila because they are the ones that are less disadvantaged. Kapag meron itong if they introduce this yung electricity, nako talaga, as President Duterte said, he will prioritize this before his his government ends. So
okay.
Yes.
Thank you po, DGUA, sa panahon. At pasensya na nahuli ako.
It's okay, no problem kasi inaabangan din kita lumabas ka doon
Lumabas ba ako? Hindi ko nakita sarili ko
lumabas.
Yes, lumabas ka.
Lumabas ka, nakita ka namin.
Nakita, we saw you.
Hindi ko nakita sarili ko.
Review mamaya dito.
Sana hindi ako inaantok kasi inaantok ako lalo na nung nag-briefing si Director Joyce Bernal, ganito ganyan. Sige akong sabi ko, alas 12 na, wala pa rin. Tapos yung nagsimula na, sabi ko, papasok sana ako dito. Sabi ko, pasok na ako sa radyo. Sabi man nila doon ni Atty. PY na, wag ka nang umalis, baka hindi ka na makabalik kasi pumasok na yung mga congressman, mga senador. Baka, sabi ko, yung slot mo, makuha yun ng iba. Sabi niya, limited ng slot. Sabi ko, sige, di ako umalis, di ako lumabas. Yeah, so,
anyway.
But anyway,
salamat, Doc, salamat talaga sa pagpapa-unlock kasi mas maganda din yung kumbaga, kahit kami nakikinig, at least nandoon ka man talaga, kumbaga present ka doon sa SONA, kumbaga kami nanonood lang. So, maraming salamat sa oras mo.
Walang DGUE ganito, 'di ba na-mention, 'di ba sinabi ko sa iyo we exchange messages na the President will announce something. Ito yon yung Department of OFW na itutuloy talaga. Itutuloy niya at maraming trabaho yan kasi there will be a lot of vacancies for that created, and the priority na ibibigay yan sa mga skilled na mga OFW na para uuwi na sila at makatulong sa gobyerno, and perhaps expertise mo DGUE magamit yan, di ba? I mean, basta it is a work in progress.
Bahala na.
At mag-plug muna ako sa mga OFW pala na nakikinig dito. Merong jobs fair sa July 29 sa Impesa, 70 to 100,000 availability from blue collar to white collar job, high school graduate, college graduate, masters, PhD, consultancy, lahat-lahat ng trabaho meron, all departments, and it will be ipalabas yan sa ano. So sino yung papauwi na o nandiyan na sa Pilipinas na gustong magtrabaho, punta kayo sa website sa PESA, submit kayo ng resume and lahat. Merong job fitting criteria doon, hindi pahirapan, fill up nyo lang kung you are qualified, makatrabaho kayo. Bunyon, the creed sword. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah.
Salamat sa announcement, Doc, ha? Salamat sa announcement about PISA.
Yeah. So kung meron pa, I mean, I have 2 minutes or so, and then
It's
mamaya.
okay, Doc. Mamaya, magkita-kita tayo mamaya. Para ano, or pakatulog muna.
I
Huwag
know.
masyadong magpuyat. Puyat na.
I know. Salamat, DGUE. Salamat, ni Sharon, and sa lahat ng fans mo dito.
Yes.
Bunyon, Magtanggol Jose, Creed Sorer, Mishi Simply Pinay, sa lahat-lahat, I love you all, and abana ko. Thank you. Thank you, DGUE.
Thank you.
CPRM,
Yes.
Thank you, girlfriend.
Thank you so much.
Sa inyong lahat. God bless.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank
Talk to
you.
later.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
bye-bye.
Oh,
Bye.
pahinga muna.
Bye-bye.
Ako din
Oo.
magpapaalam na. Okay.
Oo. Ako
Good
din.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Good night. Have a
Good night, everyone, and thank you, and shout out to everyone down there as well. Okay. See you. Good night,
See you.
Kuya. See you.
Ayan mga kaibigan, natapos din ang ating special coverage ng SONA ng ating mahal na Pangulo. Salamat at sinamahan nyo kami. At salamat kay Doc Kelly, kay Sharon, kay DG Torpe kanina, nakipagkwentuhan sa atin, si Bagtit, si GR. Salamat po. Makita-kita tayo mamaya, mga kaibigan. Thank you so much.